Hello, boys. Normally this is where I would crack open a cold one, but we have some stuff to cover. So today is Monday, if you didn't know. Oh boy, is it Monday. And I said, going into, what month are we in? April. In April, every Sunday, because it's McDonald's Sunday, is going to be something that isn't a game. So I was like, okay, Sunday, I'm going to teach myself Blender, which is what we're doing today. And by teach myself, I mean watch a bunch of tutorials. And it's a very soothing thing. So we're going to be relaxing the whole time. Chilling out, relaxing, maxing. And then I'll get McDonald's. And then the 2 streams prior to, so Saturday, Friday, I was like, man, one of my teeth like twisted a little bit. And then the next stream, I'm like, this one moved too. This is really weird. And I figured, I narrowed it down to by looking up stuff on, WebMD and all these trusty sources, and then actually talking to a proper dentist. I believe I've been grinding my teeth a lot in my sleep, and then I was like, oh. And then I woke up the next day with immense jaw pain. And I was like, okay, well, I know, I caught a 15-inch trout in the Skywalker Saga. Why is the chat not appearing? I don't know what that means. Like, can you actually catch fish in that game? I did not know that. It would have been more impressive if you did it IRL, but whatever. I'm quite the fishing guy. But that's cool, dude. Congratulations. Welcome to the Blender stream. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Oh, the fun part. Woke up with immense jaw pain. And still some scratchy teeth. Some teeth twisted around. Some pushed up more, like farther into their gums. So, a little bit before stream, I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. I'm gonna die. Quickly hit up DoorDash, get stuff from CVS. You could just get stuff from CVS on DoorDash. Like if you're like, hey, I want to buy medicine, you could just send someone out to order it. It's great. Future's incredible. So I got these little what are they? I don't know, chewy mouth guard things to put in your mouth so you don't, completely ruin your mouth while you're sleeping. And then I woke up, well, I was like, okay, well, I could probably deal with stream. I won't be able to keep it in my mouth. And then, like, around when I was going to stream, like, 9, I'm like, no. Because that's when I got the mouth guards. And I was like, I still need to figure out how this works and what I'm doing. And I was in a lot of pain at the time. Today I feel better. And what I realized is I feel worse when I'm thinking about it and only it and not distracting myself. Like talking right now, I don't feel anything. Granted, I did take a ton of Advil. I shouldn't say a ton because it's not illegal to take a lot of it, but I'm a big fucking baby, so I can't have adult pills because they just, no matter what, I can douse it in the most viscous, terrible liquid ever. It'll just shoot straight back up. So I got baby aspirin. I don't remember what I got. So I was like, okay, I'm still, because of the teeth sensitivity and anything might get fucked up, I'm still horrified of trying it, like, oh man, eating food again, anything that will disrupt the teeth a little bit, at least before my next dentist appointment, so I can deal with it and figure out exactly what it is. Hopefully the little mouthguard stuff I got will help overall. So instead of McDonald's, I just got I made a bowl of mashed potatoes. Because this is the softest food you could possibly get. Been eating nothing but Go-Gurt today. Instead of drinking out of a can, I put it all in a cup and a straw. Now I could take the drink. I gotta say though, don't take this as advice to do hard drugs because you're not supposed to do that. But man, I feel way better. Why have I not been taking Advil this whole time? That's enough talking about what happened. I'm still going to do the Tuesday off, because every Tuesday is off. And under normal circumstances, I'd be like, well, I missed Sunday. I'll just make it up on Tuesday. But I already made plans on Tuesday. I have my appointment Wednesday, so hopefully they don't, like, drill shit into me and put me under, because I fully plan on streaming that day. And the schedule is going to continue onward. Every time I plan ahead of schedule, I'm like, this is what we're going to do. It never turns out going like that because something happens. Either my cat dies, or I get sick, or I need to go home. And now I'm got jaw and teeth issues. It's relieving, though, because at first I thought it was like because I don't take the best care of my teeth. I forget a lot to do the stuff you're supposed to do. So I was like, oh, man, this is like a cavity or like a braces thing. Like, I'm fucked. This is terrible. But now that I know it's like a jaw and muscle thing, I feel a lot more relieved because that's where they're all fucked up. I don't want them to get too fucked up again. I just want to get a jump on this before it gets worse. It's manageable now, but I feel like I'm going to do no damage to your teeth is irreparable. I think I need to get that through my head. And I was talking to my dad about this when I was on the phone with him. Is when you're alone with your thoughts all day and you're thinking, oh shit, this is gonna be terrible. I'm gonna look like I'm inbred, you know? It's gonna be painful, it's gonna suck. Every step will be excruciating. And then you say it out loud, you're like, that's stupid. Never mind. I don't know why I thought that. And that's why streaming helps. And I was like worried. I mean, last night I opted out because I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'm in too much pain. And I need to figure out what's going on. And I feel like I won't be able to talk about it. And I'm exhausted. I just need to lie down. But this time I'm good to be streaming because, you know, it helps me think about things or actually, like, you know, figure that out as I'm saying it. And also, you know, distracting from the more I'm talking, the more I'm moving my mouth, but also not thinking that much about it. Maybe it's the Advil, maybe it's the stream. I feel like they accomplish the same thing. The streams are like my drugs. Yeah, I'm addicted. I'm addicted to something called streaming. So it's going to be a relaxing stream. We're going to listen to relaxing music, eat mashed potatoes, drink soda out of a cup, and learn Blender. So let's jump on over to Blender. What we got here is a cube. Okay. I've already hit my first roadblock. So you look up, the first thing you're supposed to do in Blender is the donut tutorial, right? That's what they always say. Everyone's got to do the donut tutorial. I have Blender already, so I've downloaded it before. My New Year's resolution for 2021 was to learn Blender. And I kind of did. I learned it in the sense that I did something, but I didn't master it. Didn't master anything. Didn't even master Premiere. I've been doing that for years. Someday I will know all this stuff. That being said, I couldn't even finish the fucking tutorial first time I did it. So, maybe I didn't. Ow. I gotta stop doing this. I'm making it aggravated. Okay. So here's the... Oh, you can't see it. Right. So let's watch... Yeah. Blender 3.0 Beginner Tutorial Part 1.
If you've just opened Blender for the first time and then you've tried to do things, maybe trying to see how far you can go without getting help.
I should mention, I think this is all the same guy. This guy's got like a monopoly on the donut, except for this guy. Thank you, Blender Guru. I imagine we're going to be watching a lot of him today. I don't normally like watching other people's content on stream, but I feel like it's the best way to learn.
If you've just opened Blender for the first time and then you've tried to do things, maybe trying to see how far you can go without
first time chat, welcome to the stream. I just explained about my jaw pain and my teeth issue. But yeah, I'm gonna learn Blender. I hope. At least do the donut tutorial. That's the bare minimum, but welcome.
Everything that you can see, right? I, for example, have been using Blender for 18 years and...
Alright, hold on. The relaxing music's getting too loud. I appreciate it, but it can't... I don't want it to drown out the guru.
I still have not touched some parts of Blender. Like scripting.
Okay.
Never touched it. Because I don't need to for what it is that I'm trying to do. This fly's gonna kill me.
Should we get subtitles?
If you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, I think there's really about 20% of Blender's features that you'll use in 80 or 90% of projects.
That's good to know.
And that's what I want to teach you.
Well, it depends on how many features there are.
Doing is the best way to learn.
Long time that I watched a guy 3-5 years. Oh, okay, reputable source. So do you know Blender then? I imagine you have to be to watch the Blender Guru.
I'm making a donut tutorial series. Every time Blender releases a new version, I make this series. So if you finish this full series, you will end up with a donut that looks very similar to this.
Sick. How long is this?
Let's get started.
Okay.
This big window that you can see right here opened up, this is called the 3D viewport, and it's where you'll spend probably 90% of your time.
This guy uses a lot of percentages. It reminds me of me.
Whether it's an animation or an archiviz or anything like that, it all happens right here. So by default, you can see you get 3 objects. You've got a cube, you've got what looks like a ball on a piece of string, that's a lamp, and then you've got a camera, this little, what do you call that, like a triangle arrow looking thing? That's a camera, okay? And
well, let's check. Can never be too sure. So yeah, block, camera. How do I move anything? Oh, also the issue was when I was first learning it, I was doing it on a laptop, and now that I have a computer now, but I was trying to, a lot of it is dragging, you know, dragging and pinching and stuff. No, scrolling, that like the scroll wheel and like left clicking and right clicking, that stuff was important. And I was using a trackpad. So that was partially what was holding me back, if not my just general inability and lack of interest.
Render image, or hitting the hotkey F12. It would take a snapshot from that camera view, okay? And although this looks very similar to what you were just looking at...
Wait, what did he say?
That camera view.
F12?
And although the on the screen,
no! God damn it.
See you there. You don't need to learn everything that you can see, right? I, for example, have been using Blender for 18 years, and I still have not touched some parts of Blender, like scripting. Never touched it. Because
why can you not see what I see right now? Oh, because it's a separate window.
It's, if you're familiar
I'm
with
capturing the Blender window. I'm looking at a... Here.
Blender's features,
I don't know how I'd be able to show you. I'm looking at a cube right now. But a different cube than the cube you're seeing.
In this tutorial series. And then since I think doing is the best way to learn, along the way we'll also be building our very own... Donut, of course. The donut, what I'm known for. This is the third time I make this.
They should call him the Donut Guru.
Fault. You can all on a piece of string. That's a lamp. And then you've got a camera. This little...
Lamp, camera, cube.
Like a triangle arrow.
Alright.
That's a camera, okay?
We're a minute in the 16s. We're getting the basics. I'm caught up.
Hotkey F12. It would take a snapshot from that camera view, okay? And although this looks very similar to what you were just looking at, this one actually has lighting information, okay?
Again, like I don't like watching other people's content because it feels like kind of stealing. But this is a special case because normally if I'm watching someone's video, I'll be like, oh man, I need to commentate over it. To add, you know, not fair use. I don't care about the legality. I just think it's scummy to not do that. But I feel like if I try, like, it's like, oh, let's joke. Like, I won't be paying attention, and I need to pay attention.
And then when you're ready for that final image, you hit render, and then it uses your CPU or your GPU.
This music is still loud.
Crunch all the numbers and calculate the light and the bounces and everything like that to create that final beautiful image. So that's the basics. All right, but you might notice, like, okay, well, all right, can we move this thing? How do we even do something basic like move it? There's two ways you could do it. One would be to use the Move tool in your toolbar. If you activate that,
okay.
You can see that over the cube now you get these arrows. And if you were to click and drag on any of those arrows, you would move it along.
Right, that was the clicking and dragging.
If you clicked on the white circle in the middle, then that would just be sort of like free dragging it, okay? Now, you could do it that way, but actually, I never do it that way.
Oh.
Because it is far easier to just learn the hotkey, which in this case is
M.
G.
Oh.
G for grab. Okay, so if you just
but not
hit
M
G,
for move?
the cursor doesn't have to be anywhere near it, and I'm not clicking. My hands are off the...
All right. You know, G for move. All right, let's see. I can see it all. Hey, look at me. I don't even need to model anything. Look at the square I made. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to test something I know from my knowledge of other stuff. Let go. Control Z. Control is doing this, making it do a funny little dance. Thing is, I want to default it back to... Oh, wait. G is to stop. Right. Okay, so once you let go of it, or click, it'll place. So right now I'm G, grab it, blah, blah, blah. Put it all the way back here. Click. Control Z. Reverse it. Okay. All right.
The clicker, it's just attached to your cursor basically the moment you hit G. And then if you just do a single left click, it will confirm its movement. So G, click. And my cursor could be anywhere.
I got butter buried at the bottom of this. I gotta mix it.
Like think about where is my cursor? Do I have to like get it on here and then hit it? No, it's really, it just allows you to work really fast. Excuse me while I get a drink of water. I know I'm only 2 minutes into the video.
Did you see how that guy drank water? No. I'm sorry. He's been a real help, but that is unacceptable.
allows you to work really fast. Excuse me while I get a drink of water.
All right. To each their own. I'm a straw guy, but okay, I'm sorry. Let's I can see it. Did this move again? Put a picture on my wall. Why is it like... I feel like I've already messed this up. 17 minutes.
I know I'm only 2 minutes into the video. 4 minutes. All right. Anyways.
We're talking about minutes together.
One thing you're missing with this is those axes lines. Like being able to move it along a specific axis is actually a really common action. You want to use it all the time. And you can do that after you have hit G by typing the letter of the axes. So there are 3 axes, and the axes
X,
letters
Y, Z.
are X, okay, which is the left and right. Y, which is back and forwards.
All right, back to the testing grounds. It's going to be a lot of back and forth. Milking this. Okay, so G grabs it. X. Watch out, the car's coming. Okay. Y. Got it. And it defaults back in Z. Okay. That. Can I do that without? No. It has to be within the grab. Got it. All right.
And then Z, which is up and down. Some 3D softwares call the y-axis the up and down, but Blender's it's the Z, the blue one.
Because I feel like, again, normally with streams I try and stockpile as many jokes and make it entertaining. But
if you push in, that's called the middle mouse button. Push in until it clicks, and just hold that, and you can see you get this little line that draws out, and then you can just...
What I was saying is I didn't want to interrupt the video because then I would get distracted, but also, like, if you want to see me track my progression with Blender, I imagine the jokes aren't just kind of getting in the way, really. So this will just be a you're here to chill. Welcome to the ASMR stream.
Nearest axis, and it will automatically snap to that, which is really handy.
The middle, when you click in the middle mouse button.
Okay, so that's moving.
I don't know why you would need that.
Now, the other 2 actions that are really common is rotate and scale. And you can, again, you could use the tool just by clicking here, and then you can, you know, rotate it on a specific axis. You could click in the middle and, like, do a trackball thing.
So wait.
Scale.
I'm going to keep going back and forth, too, because I need a young boy. The boy needs to learn. Okay. Rotate. So do you... Right. Do you grab it by each axis? And then you could... Alright. Right. Up, down, up, down. Yeah. It's always going to stick regardless. Alright. That's good to know. I'm learning. I need to retain the information. I keep skipping ahead by accident.
Right here. So, by default... here, and it can deep grab this to an space bar. So
I didn't learn how to scale. Hold on.
Scale, and you can.
Oh, this is part 1. I thought this whole video was the donut.
You know, rotate.
Wait. There was like a playlist before. It's a 17 video. Why was I spending so much time on the opening? All right.
Axes, you could click in the middle and like do a trackball thing. Scale, exact same thing. Scale it like that. But again, I recommend learning the hotkeys, which you can learn just by hovering over it. Yeah, the hotkey for this one. So where it says shortcut, shift spacebar, it's technically true.
No more breaks in this video. We got to move on to the next one.
If you hit shift spacebar, but it's the one after that.
Okay, so I think Blender's going to be a multi-series stream thing because the donut itself may be the entirety of the stream.
Oh, that's weird. Maybe because I did it after tapping that. Anyways, and then you've got scale, which is hovering over it. S for scale.
S.
S, X, Y, and Z, like that. And if you want to cancel a movement, you can hit escape, or you can just right-click as well, and that will also cancel the movement.
Okay.
But yeah, so you can see you could do quite a lot just with those few little movements there.
Sure.
Okay, so that's
how do you make it not a block,
now,
though?
Let's talk about the next thing you probably want to learn is, like, how do I actually move my view? Like, how could I look and
That wasn't my question, but it would have been eventually.
It's also done with your middle mouse button. Okay, so if you click in on your scroll wheel until it clicks, you are orbiting. That is how you orbit. And my laptop people with trackpads, you are panicking right now because you've just realized you don't have a middle mouse button.
I'm doing it in Blender right now. I don't need to switch over, but boy, does it look cool.
Corner, there's a little gizmo. And if you just click and drag on that, you can see that you are able to free rotate around.
That was weird. Hi, welcome back.
4 or 5 is what I would normally go for.
Let me go check to see if I'm streaming still. That
like,
I dropped for a split second. That was
using incremental numbers, so it keeps it to.
We're good? Okay.
I'd normally go like 1.4 if I was using it myself, but it's a tutorial, so I'll keep it big so you guys can see what I'm getting at.
I need to pay attention.
Cool. And another thing, just while I'm here, just mentioning, some of you are from other 3D software, 3ds Max, Maya, that kind of thing. You might find it helpful to know there's an industry-compatible key map that you could enable, which I'll put them up on the screen here, but it's more common keyboard shortcuts if you're used to other software. But for this tutorial series and everyone else, I recommend sticking to the Blender one. Because, of course...
I mean, though, I'm trying to learn Blender. Why complicate it, you know? It's like when you start a new video game and you immediately change the button controls. Like, that's not going to help you get good at the game.
That's orbiting. Okay.
Figure out the game first.
Now, you can see as I orbit around, it's like locked on to my middle of my screen here, okay? If I want to move somewhere else, that is pan, which is shift middle mouse button. Okay, now I'm shifting my view to somewhere else where I could pan around that place and shift again. And
remember this.
Trackpad,
it'll be on the test later.
This move the view, this little hand icon thing at the top there. Do invest in a mouse, please. You will need it for 3D. You really should get a mouse. It's going to be tough.
That was my issue.
The other thing that I'm doing right now is I'm using the scroller to zoom in and out. You can also use this little magnifying glass up there. Or
can I do that?
Hold down control and then again.
Yeah, that's like one of the first things I did.
And that will use a smooth movement rather than the scroll wheel, which is quite jaggedy.
We need to.
Okay, cool. So,
let's say hold on.
You've moved the cube all the way over there.
Got a plan. I've got an idea.
If you wanted to go and inspect your cube, you could, work your way over there.
The screen has gone dark. Hold on.
Pan over there. But it is far easier to just learn the hotkey number pad period, which will focus on any selected object. So if I want to go to my camera over there, I can select my camera, and number pad period will take me over to there. Again, my laptop users are going, oh no, I don't have a number pad. All right. The alternative way to do it is hold down the tilde key, which is that weird key underneath your escape key you've probably never used before. 20. That brings up a pie menu with
100
view options.
100's good.
View selected is focus.
50.
Selected will take you there.
70.
Okay,
70.
Cool. So we've learned
100.
Orbiting with middle mouse, shift middle mouse to pan, and then control middle mouse to zoom in and out.
Bump that up to 120.
The other one you probably want to learn is align your view to axis, because it's something that new beginners often end up upside down, and they're like, how did this happen? So you can go to bring
50.
yourself the right way up just by clicking one of these letters.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so if you click that, I'm now the right way. Well, am I the right way up? Yes, I'm the
100.
right way up. I'm just focused
Starts
on
at file.
That's why it's very weird.
120.
Alternatively,
10.
Instead of these, so there's the 3 axes that you could snap yourself.
No, that's still not.
You also learn the hotkeys, which is number pad 1 for front view, 1 for front view, 3 for side view, and 7 for top view. That's only number pad. It doesn't work for your keys along the top unless you wanted to enable that. Over here, emulate number pad.
No, I am cutting something off.
But yeah, so that's
7.5.
Well. You might also find
There we go. That's
you'll
good.
notice,
And then
sorry, that
we'll
in this view, this is orthographic mode. Okay,
put
so
my blender
we
still
can't
in
see the
there.
other sides of our cube right now. It's a weird looking cube, but we can't see the other sides because this is orthographic mode. It's like looking at it with like a
This
focal
is
length
what
of,
we
like,
should have been
infinity,
doing.
right? So there's no depth in our scene right now, which is actually really handy, and it defaults to it for this align to view thing.
Give us, hold on.
Immediately, because you usually want that, but the hotkey for that is number pad 5, and that will take you in and out of perspective mode. You can
This
also
way
do
I
that
can
later.
do both. I can
Like
multitask.
that. You can see the difference. Oh, and
Do,
another
however,
way that
wish
you
to
can
see-
align to view, because there's a couple of ways.
Yeah, we're
You can
good.
also use that tilde key. That'll take you to the top, the right, the side, etc.
I wasn't
You can
paying
also
attention though, like
use,
this whole time.
The viewport, you could change those. It's also got the hotkeys there if you happen to forget them.
Here's the thing, right?
And the
This is showing us the basics and being like, oh, this is how you could use it. But I feel like if he does like the donut tutorial and then he's like, oh, and then hit the Gluppo tab, he's going to show you him doing that. So I could just learn it by watching him. So let's just start the actual donut
if
part.
you've just opened Blender for the first time and then you've tried to...
Is it still lined up?
This tutorial series was brought to
Yeah.
you by my company Polygon. High quality models and textures for better renders. Alright, enough faffing around, as my
That's what I'm saying.
father would say. We have learned the basics of the interface, all the hotkeys, we've fooled around.
Yep, I know
Now
it
we're
all.
gonna Start building that donut. Okay, so we are going to delete our default cube, which is just the delete key, or X, which is the older shortcut, and we're going to replace it with something new. So to add a new object in Blender, you need to go up to Add, up here, and you get this long list, or you can hit the hotkey, which is what I'm going to be using for the tutorial, Shift A. And truthfully, most of these options, wow, a lot of the options you rarely use. Like speaker, I don't think I've ever used. Most of the time what you're looking for is mesh, because to render anything,
Mesh.
you really need to start with a mesh. Like if you followed like a character tutorial, you might be surprised when they're like, all right, start with a cube, and then, you know, we'll bippity-boo, and we'll...
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
form
whoa,
a
whoa,
character
slow down, slow down.
eventually, from that,
I'm
right?
lost.
But you have to start with something.
Mesh.
So usually you pick the object which most resembles what it is you're trying to create.
So
in
a
this case,
Taurus.
there's a really easy one. It's the donut-shaped one.
It's called a
The
torus.
Taurus. That is a word I never would have learned.
Now that is a
except for
donut.
Blender. I would have called that a donut, but evidently the mathematicians decided they need a special word for it.
Okay.
Okay, when you add an object
talking like
and
me.
do certain actions actually in Blender, you get options straight after adding it, okay? But they're kind of hidden because they're trying to stay out of the way unless you need them. And it's down there in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little box, which if you click it, it expands. And then you get options like the resolution.
Whoa, 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 hold on.
The size.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Run that back.
And it's down there in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little box, which if you click it, it expands. And then you get options like
Okay.
the
I
resolution,
do not have what
the
he's talking about.
size of it and everything.
I don't think
now,
so.
If you don't see that box, it's probably because you accidentally clicked off it. Okay, it'll only show it after you've just added it. If you click off it, it assumes you're fine with it. You're good. Okay. Now, if you haven't done another action since then, if you haven't edited and clicked on something else or whatever, you can temporarily bring it back one last time, really, until you do something else with F9. Okay, so F9 will bring those same options back and just at your cursor, basically.
All right.
But if you don't see it, then, you know, just re-add it.
You're right, right, of
delete it,
course.
Re-add it, and you'll get those options back again. Okay.
Do I need to do any of this? I'll
with
leave
this,
it there.
Let's make some changes to
It
it.
just
Okay,
went
so
away.
For starters, this is a very thin donut. And
Okay, well, I already fucked that up. Let's get rid of this. Add a new donut. I'm going to do this by myself now. Add, mesh, Taurus. Right, here it is. There's Taurus shit. I need to click off to unpause. Okay,
you
we're
want to know
good.
this maybe, but this is the third time I've made this donut beginner series. Every time there's a new version of Blender, I make this series again. This is number 3. And basically, for the last 5 years of my life, I have been seeing every day on Twitter when somebody tags me in their donut render. And I've become very good at realizing the attributes that make donuts look good.
He's the donut guy.
I think the best donuts are the ones that look thick. The ones that look like, oh yeah, I want to sink my teeth into
I
that.
fucked that
It's got
up.
a lot
Okay.
of icing, it's got a lot of dough. I don't know. Just something about a fat donut. Just like
Which part am I moving to
looks
do that?
delicious. So I'm going thick this time. Okay. And then the major segments and the minor segments. These are, as you can probably see, we'll call it the resolution of our donut, but it's the amount of geometry. Okay. So this,
There we go, fat
you are
donut.
probably tempted to go like really high, because this is what I did when I first started using Blender and 3D. I'm like, I need
this to be a polygon.
Realistic, so
Yes,
it's gonna be
UFO.
smooth. Okay, so I'm going to go really high res. It's actually the opposite. You do not want that. I immediately realized when I started using this is a terrible idea. For one, you can't go back. Okay, when you go high.
Ow.
You can if you go low. You can
Sorry.
add other things. Which
It's coming back to
do
me now.
to make it smoother, but it's harder to go back. And also with this, it takes longer to render. It's harder to work with because it's a bigger file. Your viewport slows down. Your computer's whirring away.
What's
harder.
the number then, man? You
And
gotta
also
tell
it is
me.
harder to work with. Okay, when we enter edit mode, and we're gonna do this later, and like do some edits and stuff.
Blowing my
I have to
mind right
work with
now.
This many vertices, these little points, and that is just too much. So you actually want the exact opposite. So, we want to keep it as minimum. Okay, so the minimum amount of detail depends on what it is you're trying to create. We could go like really low, but we're actually going to.
What is it at? The screen is very small.
Think, okay, what am I going to do with the?
I think
icing?
he's
Am I
at
gonna make some,
14,
dribbly
18?
bits going down it. I don't know. Having done this a few times, I think I'm going to go with around like somewhere around 40 to 20.
Okay.
Eh,
Let's split the difference and
something
go
like that.
30,
Let's go 60.
60,
16 looks good. Okay.
16.
By the way, and you would
56.
never know this, because how could you if you're a beginner? But like it's also a good idea to try to keep square faces, because as a general, if you're making something organic and it's going to be smooth,
40,
if it's like, if it's
56.
got rectangular faces, it can like
Right?
stretch the shading and things just start to look weird. So I'm trying to keep it generally to a square face.
Hold on.
Doesn't have to be a hard look or something like that. All right, then I'm going to click off it, and I'm done, and I can't get those options back.
I need to be certain this is what I'm doing.
But you get the idea. Okay, cool. So, great. Let's talk about
4016.
Okay, because although it looks like, what is the scale of our scene here?
There we
We're,
go.
like, looking into the distance.
Click
there, like,
off.
how big is this grid floor? We don't know. It could be microscopic. It could be 500 meters. It could be landscape size. We don't know.
200-foot
We actually
donut.
do. Okay, so each one of these grid squares here, is it 1 meter or 2? I think it's 1 meter. Hang on. Yes, it is 1 meter. Okay, so this, actually, the size of our donut is humongous. It is 3 meters by 3 meters. Okay, so if you, sorry, I didn't tell you the hotkey. N will bring up your properties. Very handy, convenient shortcut. You
Thanks.
Can bring it up when you want to learn. Click on your object, and then go to item, and then you can see details around your object. Okay, so it's 3 meters by 3 meters, which is like roughly like 2 people laying down lengthways. By the way,
Yeah, but if we're just making a
speaking of
donut,
that,
it's not
if
in
you
relation
are
to
American,
anything.
to my American audience, you can change your units to be wacky imperial, and you can get 9.9.
Why would anyone ever want to do that?
Whatever it is, I don't know. You can do that.
That's the
I'm gonna
worst
use, I'm gonna use
version.
3 meters, because the rest of the world is also watching.
I can only, well, I guess I can watch stream on computer.
This obviously needs to be much smaller, so we're going to scale it. Scaling the hotkey S.
Okay, now we're good.
Scale it right down to
S.
the size of a donut, which I've learned is around about, like, the biggest size would be around about, like, 10 centimeters, right? Yeah, roughly. So, yeah, 10 centimeters is what we're looking for. Something like that. We could have done it when we added the torus, but that was radius, and radius is, like, you got to double it to make it. I'm like, just scale it down after we make it, and it'll be much easier to figure out. Okay.
Does that really
The
matter?
other thing I want to do is apply the scale, because, and this is another thing you would never know if you're a beginner, but it's sort of a running joke.
What are his
World,
stats
like,
at? Hold on.
Anytime you run into a problem with your mesh, something's not working, apply the scale. Because if your scale is wrong,
secondary at?
other things tend
740.
to be wrong, like modifiers and other things like that. So this scale here should pretty much always be 1 if you can, yeah, try to make it always 1, roughly speaking. So to apply your scale, you go Control A and then hit scale. Okay, so Control A for apply and then scale. And now it is 1. Nothing has changed, but it just means things will work better in the future.
Hold on.
And I'm just doing it because I know I'll forget it, and then they'll be like in the comments, and people go, why is mine messed up? And it was because of this part.
0.5.
Anyway, all right. Okay, so how do we get rid of these jagged lines? Because that's probably the next question. How do we get rid of those jagged lines? There are two types of shading in Blender or in 3D. Flat and
Hold on.
smooth. So
Why did I need A?
A for apply and then scale. And
A
now it's
scale.
one. Nothing has changed, but it just means things will work better in future. I'm just doing it because I know I'll forget it and then...
This is not doing anything.
So this scale here should pretty much always be 1 if you can... Yeah. Try and make it always 1, roughly speaking. So to apply your scale, you go Control A and then hit scale. Okay, so Control A for apply and then scale. And now it is 1. Nothing has changed, but it just means things will work better in the future. And I'm just doing it because I know I'll forget it and then they'll be like in the comments and people go, why is mine messed up? And it was because of this part I didn't say hit. Anyway, all right.
I think my donut's thick enough.
These jagged lines?
Doesn't need to be exactly the same.
Jagged lines.
Just need to be able to make a
There are
donut.
two types of shading in Blender or in 3D. Flat and smooth. So by default it is flat. To change it to smooth, we just right click and then hit shade smooth. Okay. And when we do that, it is basically like for these faces here. It has taken, instead of treating...
I kind of like the angular design, because if I want to make a model, it would be like, I would want to make just an N64 model, I guess. But this is good to know.
For organic objects, which means like things that are flowing, essentially, or rounded things, maybe.
This music's getting louder, or he's getting quieter.
Architecture or hard surface things you want flat things. So shade smooth. So we've got rid of that. That's good. Now you'll notice that it has not fixed the silhouette of our object. Okay, so shade smooth is a illusion.
I haven't noticed that.
It's not actually adding any geometry, which is great because it's light, it's lightweight, it's easy to work with. It's not adding geometry, but your silhouette will still be broken, or it will still look jagged. The only way to fix that is to add more detail. It's something that games. That's kind of the thing. If you
the thing is, if I copy this directly, like just turn for turn for, I feel like I'm not learning anything. As opposed to me just jumping into it.
If you see jagged lines, you can basically see the mesh, like how high poly something is.
The donut's the tutorial. What we'll do next time is I'll try and make my own 3D platformer mascot.
Okay, or subdivision. And there are a few ways to do it. But the way we do it in Blender is with adding a modifier. Okay, so we click this little wrench. Or is it a spanner? Is that a spanner?
It's a wrench.
Wow, since I got my hands dirty. Anyways, it's the modifier panel over here. And then go up and underneath add modifier. If you click it, you get a whole bunch of different options here. And the one that we're looking for
shrink wrap.
You use it so often. I wish it was at the top, but it's not. It's down here, subdivision surface. So you click that, and you might see that it has now smoothed out ever so slightly. You can see that edge
should I have been...
The jagged edge is no longer there.
It's smooth though. It's smooth both ways, but there's more polygons.
Yeah, it's called a subsurf, even though it's called subdivision. Subsurf modifier.
Why do we lower the resolution then?
Is for, and I'm going to temporarily turn this off by that little icon there. That's viewport. So if you uncheck that, it's disabling it for your viewport, and that one is for render. If you want to disable it for your render. Okay, so what it is doing is you can see the edge there, right? If there are 3 points that make up that edge there, subsurf is now adding in. It's doubling.
Dude, this is part 2 of 17. I have made a donut shape so far. Where are the sprinkles? Where is the frosting?
Levels, viewport, and render. You can probably guess. That's just one operation. Okay, if I set this to 2, which is what you would see.
Ow.
Yeah. Set it to 2, which is what you see when you would render it.
Hurting again.
It's doing it again. Okay, so it's, I guess the word's exponentially. It's exponentially adding detail every time you add this. So it's going to do it again and again and again. So obviously you don't want to go too high because otherwise your render times would be crazy. And
big pull too. That's it too.
So often I keep it 1 or
See, if I told you this was supposed to be well, if I asked you what it was supposed to be, you wouldn't say it. If I said, hey, does this look like a donut? You probably would agree because...
Just give you some background on how to make things look smooth without really going high res. Okay.
All right.
So, as I teased before,
I will turn it back
this
on.
mesh is made up of little points, and we can edit those points and adjust things and whatnot by going into edit mode, which you can do by hitting tab on your keyboard.
Oh boy.
Another way is to go up to the top left-hand corner, change from object mode to edit mode.
God, this is so...
So tab
This is
the
so
fast way to
daunting.
switch
Like,
between
Premiere and Photoshop seem daunting too.
another way, third way, because why not?
And-
Control tab will bring up the pie menu.
But this
and
seems
then you
like
can
way
enter
worse.
along with just object and edit mode, but like
Control
text to
doesn't do
page,
anything.
Sculpt mode, and we'll do a bunch of stuff later on. But edit mode.
Tab, okay.
So in edit mode, you
Right.
can see that we're now able to see the skeleton roughly that makes up our mesh. Okay, each of these little points here is what
The
makes up our
wireframe.
mesh. So these points are called vertices.
Right.
Sorry, a single one is called a vertex. Multiples are called vertices. Always get them confused because it's got an S on it as well. It's like vertices, vertexes. It's not vertexes, it's vertices. Anyways, these little points make up our mesh. And on each of these points, if you've got 3 or more, usually 4 is the ideal one you're usually aiming for when you're making meshes.
What?
You can make a face. Okay, so if I just delete, I'll just hit X and I'll show you what it looks like without a face. Okay, so between each of
He's
these
put a
points,
hole in the donut.
add another one with F.
Silly, the
there is a
donut's
face.
already
Okay,
got
so
a
all the
hole.
points together make up a face, and then that makes up your mesh. So what this means is that with these points, if I want to change the look of my mesh, I can take some
Right,
of these points and I
multi-select,
can move
okay.
them, okay? And you use the exact same hotkeys as you did before. So to move something, it is G for grab. Okay, so if I move this up and then go back out of edit mode to object mode, you can see as I move around, it's now got a little lump on it. Okay, pretty handy. So I could do that.
I've
right?
made a
I could
Mario
tweak
Galaxy
the shape
level.
of my mesh. Okay, so let's say like I wanted to.
Now it definitely is a
you know,
pool
like, make
floaty.
my donut
It's
look
got a
more,
little
like,
ducktail at the
lopsided, or,
back.
like add some detail because this is necessary, by the way. Your brain, when it thinks about objects, because you've seen them so many times, it simplifies it in your head. You think of a donut as being round, but it's bumpy, it's lumpy. It was thrown in the fire. The guy who like made the dough, it was all lopsided. But in your head, you just think of it as a round circle. The
Uncanny
digital world
Valley.
will always give you the perfect thing. So you need to go in and add those imperfections. There's an old quote, don't know who said it. Imperfection is the digital perfection. Yeah, I don't know. It's very, very true. So think of that. So anyways, we need to add some lumps to it and make our donut lopsided. So if we held down Shift, we could select multiple points.
Okay.
And then we could drag these out. I could do this. I could, slowly go through.
I should say, I'm so bad at making things random. Like, I don't know, is the way my brain works is that, like, I can't make things uneven. So if someone's ever like, hey, make a mountain in Minecraft, I can't make it look like a mountain. I can make it look like a pyramid, like all perfectly even, all going up to meeting a point. But I hope there's like a uniform, like, oh, every third square or whatever. Because if it's just like, oh, just make it look, but I'm going to be, oh boy.
Now this is tedious.
Right.
As I'm sure you can see.
Correct.
Clicking, lots and lots of clicking, little points. And that's really because that's not the way I would do this. What I would do, which is a feature that you use all the time, and that is proportional editing. So if you click this little button at the top here, or the hotkey for that is O, turn that on and off. What this will do is that now when I rotate scale or hit G to grab and move it, now it's actually grabbing vertices around it and it is moving it together as a whole. Now by default, your proportional size is really high, okay? So if I scroll up, I can gradually bring the fall off down to what actually makes sense for my donut, okay? Now this was actually
Wait,
a point,
what?
I was reading the comments on the last video.
Hold on. Go back.
This is really high, okay? So if I scroll up and it is moving it to is that now when I rotate scale or hit G to grab and move it, now it's actually grabbing vertices around it and it is moving it together as a whole. Now by default, your proportional size
I feel like that's not doing
is
anything.
really high, okay? So if I scroll up, I can gradually bring the fall off down to what actually makes sense for my donut, okay? Now this was actually a point, I was reading the comments on the last video, the last version of this I made, and this was a point that a lot of people got stuck on. If you can't see this ring here, just keep scrolling up because it is there. If you see top left-hand corner, actually it gives you the measurement.
Keep scrolling.
As I scroll, you can see the measurement
Okay.
of my fall off. What you're looking for is something like a 0.04. If you can't see 0.04 meters, just keep scrolling up until you see it. And if you are on trackpad, because those people also got stuck, because they're like, how do I scroll while I'm doing it? All you do is...
Well, this is
on
a pretty good
trackpad,
donut so
tap
far.
G, then do a single click, and then down here in the bottom left-hand corner, you've got those options.
So let's,
and then you could adjust
an example,
your
pick
proportional
one.
size to like a
G.
0.04, and then if you move, you should see the correct proportional fall off. Okay.
Well, this is good to know, though.
Really, guys, invest in a mouse, please.
It's breathing.
Going trackpad, look, it's fine for Facebook, but like you're doing stuff in 3D, you gotta have a mouse. Come on.
Deflated summer fun is
So
dead.
now that I do this with
Everything
my
comes to an
fall
end.
off radius, and if I just scroll up and down, I can adjust and I can make my donut look however I want, much more easily. Okay, make this part go out. Maybe make this part have like a little lump that's sort of skew-if like that.
All right.
Maybe this middle part, sort of like this. Okay.
I get it.
One here, something like that. Okay.
Make it
No, that's a little lopsided. It's a little bit
deformed.
what's on that side. And this is maybe a little bit too
See?
far.
There we go.
Just sort of playing.
Now that's a
But
donut.
I have to keep this for the rest of the donut, for the rest of the tutorial.
You ever get a donut and it's like
Okay,
like the
something else about
donut hole
another
isn't
one.
fully.
You can see that if I want to move this up, if I was to move it like this, right?
No.
It's moved everything also left to right as well. Okay. Because
Web's on it.
of
It's the
my
Spider-Man
camera.
donut.
Okay. If I'm looking
You
at
say that
something
like the
this,
Spider-Man
moving,
donut is a famous
it
thing.
is
Look at
moving
him, he's happy.
across the donut. So it's
Hello,
scrunching
children.
going this way.
It's me.
That's not what I want. I want it to go directly up. So it means I have to put a camera angle like right down here to do that up. Alternatively,
Shit, I was
better
not
way,
watching the video.
not to throw too many hotkeys at you, get my keyboard shortcuts if you haven't already, link in the description. But another hotkey is Alt-S, which instead of moving it just arbitrarily, this will now move it according to which direction those faces are pointing.
Jesus Christ.
And this is actually perfect for this exact case because we've got, points, rounded around it, and it's just it's
Alt
tedious
S.
to have to get my camera angle exactly right. When really I just want to be able to select certain parts. And then
Okay,
put them
I get-
down.
I
So
get it.
Alt S allows me to do that.
That
The
makes
shrink
sense.
And fatten tool. Is what
Smart.
it's called. But other softwares, I think they call it move along normals or something like that. Something like that. All right.
Yeah, let's close up the
And
donut
then
hole a
maybe the
little bit.
base as well. I think we should make it a little bit lopsided on the base. Move that down.
Yeah.
Something like that. Now there is a sculpt tool, which we'll talk about when we get to the icing, that could also do this, but that is not the point of this tutorial. So I'm just doing proportional editing because, to be honest, this
Now that's a
proportional
gross looking
editing
donut.
is perfect for this kind of thing.
Is the Spider-Man donut like a famous promotion I don't
No,
know
so it's
about?
just
Like the
entering
Shrek catch-up?
Into edit mode to do your changes, going into object mode to see how it looks, and then swapping back out with tab again. And that's really all it is. I think this is too thick on this side now. Too lopsided.
I thought it
too
was the
far with
imperfections that make it perfect.
But that also comes into like the style of it, of what you're doing. Yeah. Something like that. Oh, by the way, another side point I just mentioned. We're talking about object and edit mode, okay? A big problem a lot of beginners have that I find is that later on, you'll be like, I'll say, all right, so select your lamp and your camera or something like that. And they'll be like, oh, I can't click on it. What's happened?
I can't either.
Because you are still in edit mode.
Oh.
Edit mode means you cannot click on anything else other than
I still
the
can't grab
object
them, though.
that you are editing. You're still in this. When you switch back to object mode, you're now able to click on any object in your scene, but in edit mode, it is locked to that view. So
Right.
if you can't click on things, just remember, check what mode you're in. You're probably in edit mode. Switch to object mode, and you'll be fine. Okay.
Can I
Just to
rotate
finish on
this?
something completely random, because why not? Just throw it in there just as a little Easter egg for those of you that made it to the end of the video. Is something cool. If you go to select, there's an option there for select random, and this will just select at random vertices on your mesh, and then you've got a little ratio thing you could change down the bottom there.
Why did you not tell me about this before?
If you used Alt-S, you would basically make a lumpy looking donut. So it's kind of like a quick way. If you wanted to make a lumpy looking donut, you could do it that way.
All right.
And also, if you change the fall off type, okay, so this is that ring, that little circle that goes around.
I mean, like, it's looking more
if
like
you
a,
change
but
it
it already
from,
looked like a donut when
the
we
smooth
started.
one to
Like
sharp,
the shape is
then
that
you
of a
make it
donut.
something else, like a spiky warped donut. I don't know. It actually looks better without the subsurf. and like flat. It's like, no, it does not. Okay, I don't know what I was thinking with that. Anyways, all right, just something.
Trying
random
to
finish off.
aggravate my
Okay,
jaw
so
by
whatever you're doing,
yawning.
get something that you like, and then join me in the next part as we do the icing. So click here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. To make renders like these, you need high-quality assets, which is why I created Polygon, a library of models, textures, and HDRs that work.
I already wanted to do this like last month. I'm like, man, I want to relearn Blender. But then I saw a post on Twitter about people. There's a mod that you could just put Mario from Mario 64 in any 3D thing you make. So I would like to do that too. I feel like the Blender thing's going to be a series. Like when I said, oh, Sunday will always be a different thing that isn't a game, I think Sunday's just going to be Blender. At least until I get good at it. Or at least figure out how it actually works. Because it's still very daunting. There's a lot of shit on my UI right now.
We can duplicate our donut, shave off half of it, and then we've basically got icing. So that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
So enter into edit mode. And we want to select half of our donut. So if we went into, you can see that, like if we looked at it from this, you know, if we drew, you can see we're missing part of it, right? Because it's like, this is one of those cases, is what I'm trying to say, where you need to use straight on, okay? So, or number pad 1, number pad 3, whatever you want to do, something like that. Okay, and by the way, when you use this, it also switches you to orthographic mode, okay? So perspective mode is where you've got the depth fall off, okay? And then orthographic mode is when it is like as if it was like a focal length of like infinity. So you're seeing like the actual, what's the best way to describe it? No perspective, essentially, zero perspective. And you can toggle between that, by the way, also.
If the top's going to be the frosting, this is as good as it's going to get.
On the right-hand side there, at any point. It doesn't have to be.
Well, I selected part of it. Not half,
cool.
but...
So, if we were to just drag over this right now...
I did the wrong side.
It looks like we've got half of our donut.
I did the wrong side.
However, if you moved around, you would see we're missing the other half of it, okay? And that's because...
Are you about to tell me there's an easier way to do it? I just did.
The mesh is hard, and therefore to select on the other side, we have to be able to see through it. And we can do that by going up here and toggling X-ray. Well, the hotkey for that is Alt-Z, and that will now show us right through it. And now when we drag over it, you can see that we've got exactly the top half of our donut all the way around. Okay, perfect. So we want to duplicate this and then separate it. Okay, so I'm going to hit Shift-D, which is how you duplicate.
There we go.
Or you can go up to Mesh and then click on Duplicate, wherever that would be.
Shift-D.
Right there. Duplicate at the top.
All right, well, we got our frosting.
When you do that,
his is a lot more even than mine is.
Okay, and it's telling me, where do you want to place this duplicate?
But you know what I say?
I don't. I want to leave it exactly where it
it's the imperfections that make us human.
Right click, it's going to cancel the movement.
I'm going to make the perfect human, something that exceeds the uncanny valley and just becomes canny.
Move this to its own object, because you can see that we've now got vertices on top of vertices, and they need to be their own separate objects. So to do that, the hotkey is P. P for part of the mesh. Go to another.
Right.
I don't know.
It's two separate things, or it's one thing. So tab.
And we're looking for
P.
selection. So separate by the selected part of the mesh.
Okay.
And now in object mode, if we switch out of X-ray mode, you can see that we now have two objects, and actually we can see them up here in the outliner as well. Okay. And just very quickly, because I know that some of you will have just messed up accidentally, and you are now screaming at the screen, oh no, how am I going to fix this? When you did this step, you duplicated it, you right-click to cancel it, and then you accidentally did a single click. If you clicked something else,
I'm gonna make this a little bigger.
You've now got mesh on top of a mesh, and you don't know
Transform
which
scale.
is which. Like, which is the one that was the one that you just made, right? Or which one is the actual donut. So if you ever run into this problem, what you can do is to select only things that are connected, because these are no longer connected, right? There's bits that are not connected.
This is, okay.
It's Control L, or just mouse over it and then just hit a single L. L for
green.
Loose.
That might be too
parts.
big.
Is it? I don't know what it is. Link. Oh, it's linked. Okay, select linked. There you go. Then when you do that, you can actually, find the right part of your mesh. Okay, so now I've actually just got just my donut and then just my icing. Fantastic. Okay, so up here in the outliner,
Wait,
see
whoa,
two
whoa, whoa.
objects, and it's probably a good time to name it. Okay, so you can name it by just double-clicking in the outliner. and we
I
can
got
call
terrible
it
depth perception. Is this lined up?
Another way to
It's
name it
too
is
big.
If you select, if you
I
just
made a
got
mistake.
Your object selected anywhere in your 3D viewport. It's the same hotkey as Windows renaming files. It's F2. F2. And I can now type
Okay,
in
move.
donut. And there we go. So two things, and we could organize it however we want. Cool. So our icing is
Still
currently
too
looking
big.
like a skin tight something. It's got to have some thickness to it, okay? And we can do that
Sure.
with the modifiers. Okay, so going over here to your modifier stack again.
I can't even tell.
We are
Like,
looking for something called the solidify.
it's all one color.
There really needs to be a search function for the modifier stack, but there's just a lot here at the moment. So solidify, okay. Now when we do this, you might not have actually really seen much change. If you went into wireframe mode, which you could do by hitting Z and then dragging to the left to go wireframe, or up here, so this is solid view mode.
I think
This is
that
wireframe
worked.
mode, okay. In wireframe mode, we're able to see just the raw mesh without any faces. You can see that it looks like a donut within a donut, but it's got thickness.
I
to
am
it,
so
but it is
far
pointing
off.
it
I
in the
fucked
wrong
this up
direction.
so
This
quick.
offset setting here from -1, we want to change that to 1. Now go back to solid view. Okay, so that is just a doona of icing. It's a lot. So we're going to turn our thickness down to be something a little more reasonable. And by the way, when you're dragging these values here, here's a tip. You can see that it's like really hard to control because
What is he
subtle
doing?
movements is what I need, but it's moving it by a lot. If you hold down Shift, that is not incremental. What is it? Smooth movements? Subtle movements. Yeah. Anyways, holding down Shift when you need to use small numbers. And Control, by the way.
Let me look
will
at
snap it to
F12.
increments. So I use that actually quite a lot. So yeah, smooth.
It's really
Shift
low
for smooth
resolution, but
movements and
it
Control
looks like
for
it
incremental
kind of looks
or
like
both.
frosting.
Smooth, like subtle and incremental. Anyways, all right, I'm giving you all the hotkeys and everything at once. I hope it is not too much for you. All right, I'm gonna go for like something like a 1.
Okay, so he's doing like a whole different thing that we didn't pick up on.
Solid view. We are looking for something called the solidify modifier. Right?
Add
There
modifier.
needs to be a search function for the
Solidify.
modifier stack, but there's just a lot.
That
here
is
at the moment.
better.
So solidify. Okay. Now when we do this, you might not have actually really seen much change. If you went into wireframe mode, which you could do by hitting Z and then dragging to the left to go wireframe, or up here, so this is solid view mode, this is wireframe mode, okay? In wireframe mode, we're able to see just the
From this
raw
angle, it looks more like
mesh
frosting,
without
and it's
any
kind of
faces.
leaking down the side.
You can see that it looks like a donut within a donut, but it's got thickness to it, but it is pointing it in the wrong direction. So this offset.
You're pointing that
setting here
thickness
from
in the
-1,
wrong direction,
we wanna
girl.
change that to 1.
Put it to good
And
use.
go back to solid view. Okay, so that is just a doona of icing. It's a lot. So we're going to turn our thickness down to be something a little more reasonable. And by the way, when you're dragging these values,
It's the wrong
here,
thing.
here's a tip. You can see
Wait,
that
no,
it's
it's not.
like really hard to control because subtle movements is what I need, but it's moving it by a lot. If you hold down Shift, that is
Okay.
not incremental. What is it? Smooth?
Put that at
movements?
1.
Subtle movements, yeah. Anyways, holding down Shift when you need to use
That way it's
small
not
numbers
clipping,
and
but still
Control,
isn't like
by the way, will
unreasonable.
snap it to increments. So
Maybe we'll bump it up to 2.
So yeah, smooth. Shift.
That's a
for
little
smooth
better.
movements and Control for incremental, or both. Smooth, like subtle and incremental. Anyways,
There's
all right,
offset,
I'm giving
too.
you all the hotkeys and everything at once. I hope it is not too much for you.
Who knows?
All right, I'm gonna go for like something like a 0.0015 of icing, because I want it to look somewhat thick, but like not too thick. Okay.
Right.
Now, something
I like
to
mine,
keep in
though.
mind is that this edge here
It's
kind
uneven.
of weird for a lot of reasons. If we went into flat shading mode, you can see that it's created like a hat.
Coconut head
on our donut.
from Nedzy Classify.
And the reason for that is the order of our modifiers here. So a modifier is, what is the best way to think of it?
It modifies things.
Well, it's working from top to bottom. That's how
That's
we'll
not what I
describe
thought.
it. Okay, modifiers are fantastic because at any point we can change these settings. It is a non-destructive way of working. This subdivision setting that I had before, I think it's too high. So I can come in here and I can change these settings, okay? Make
He's
them
doing
lighter.
too much.
If it was not, if I was to
I should
apply
have
or I
made
did
the
it a different
screen
way,
bigger
could
before I
not change these
resize it,
settings.
because I
One
can't
start
really
is
tell what
fantastic.
he's doing.
It also means that, yeah, it's working from top to bottom. So what I want to do is move this above
It's
my
at
subdivision,
803,
which I
hold
can do
on.
by just dragging these dots at the top here, just dragging that up, and you can see that now it's doing the, if I just turn that off, it's doing the thickness part first, and then it is smoothing it, which means that that edge there that was like this before is now being forced to go like this because of the subsurf, because it adds those points and then it kind of averages.
How and where is he seeing this? $748,
thickness,
815.
and you can see that now it's doing the, if I just turn that off, it's doing the thickness part first and then it is smoothing it, which means that that edge there that was like this before is now being forced to go like this because of the subsurf.
I am
Because it
not
adds those
grasping
points
any
and
of this
averages
information, dude.
them out, which is, yeah, how subdiv works. There we go. Cool. So now, I don't know, now that thickness doesn't look like enough. So I'll just increase that a little bit. And I'm going to go shade smooth.
Everyone's donuts are different.
Okay.
I think mine's going to look a little
Well, we
sloppy,
made good time.
but like delicious sloppy.
Yeah, let's just jump to the next video. We're actually going to start
Delicious, delicious
modeling
slop.
the dripping parts of our icing in the next part, and do
We
a
gotta
little
get
bit of
the drip.
sculpting as well. So click here to join me in the next part. I'll see you there.
Load it up.
Join over 1 million 3D artists who use polygons, models, and textures.
That's what I want
to
Mario
help
running
you
around in.
this part.
Oh, Nintendo,
Join
hire
the
this
parade
man.
at
Mario running around in
polygons.com.
realistic
Congrats
land
on
world
not
with
giving
deer.
up yet.
I made it to
It's
part
always
4.
fun. Whenever you release a multi-part tutorial series, it's just fun seeing like the viewership drop after every part as people quit. So if you did make it, hey, you stay.
He's
on
right.
track.
I never made it this far before.
Yet. No, I do hope that you can all stay through. In this part, we are going to be making our icing look more like icing, more dribbled down rather than like a yarmulke,
I feel like I already accidentally did that.
half of a bagel or something. Like if I just cut this in half, I feel like that would look pretty close to a
Damn, I didn't know that it
Okay,
went
nuts.
down that deep.
We want to make it look more like icing and also make our donut underneath also have a little bit more shape. So, the icing. Okay, now we want to be able to see our mesh and like manipulate things and everything here.
Tab.
But we can't because it's mostly hidden by our solidify modifier. So in your modifier stack over here, if we just uncheck this button here, then it will no longer display in edit mode, so I can work with the mesh here. But
And
if I go back to
solidify.
object mode, then you can see the solidify modifier again. So that's what we want. Okay.
Am I
so if was to
stupid
move
or
this
like
down
why?
by hitting G. Oh, I gotta turn on
Did I
this
do that
focus
wrong
tool.
already? No, I see.
If I move this down with G, and then went back to object mode, you can see that we've got something that
Let's
looks
go over
like
here because there's no drip over
a
here.
little dribbly bit. So you can guess we are going to be doing quite a bit of that. I'm going to turn on proportional editing, as you can probably guess, so that now when I move down,
That's
I can
moving the
scroll
whole thing
up,
though.
or no, scroll down and increase the fall off, and now I can create a big dribbly bit. But you'll notice that straight away there's a couple of problems. Okay, so for one, this bit is sticking straight out, and then also this bit of our icing is clipping through the donut, which would require a whole bunch of fixing and like manually going in there. It's not good. So it would be great if we could make it snap to the face underneath.
Yeah,
And there is a feature just for that.
they got everything.
So the snapping tool is right up here. Okay, this little magnet icon. Okay, a quick just overview of snapping. Snapping, you can always.
I feel like that didn't
whether
really.
you go up there and like turn it on or not. You can always
like the
temporarily
same.
enable it by holding down Control. Okay, so this default is
not
set to increment.
doing
So
anything.
if I'm moving an object, rotating, scaling, that's transforming. Okay, so it's snap during transform. If I'm moving it, if I just hold down Control as I move it, I am temporarily restricting its movement to the grid floor underneath it, basically, because that's the increment that it's looking at.
Oh, it goes
So I
by
can
the
only
grid.
move it when I'm holding down Control to that. And
So
that is
up
the
here.
exact same thing as if I was to check that,
Weird.
turn that button on, and then move it without.
I don't feel like it's
any
any more
control.
snapped.
Okay. So there's no difference between holding control or not holding control. It functions the exact same way. It's just that this way lets you do it without having to hold control, basically. But that's also another good point, because
turn off the
there's
magnet.
a hotkey for it. I can't remember what it is, but you sometimes hit it accidentally without realizing, and then you're like, why can't I move things properly? Like it's all messed up, and that's actually a common beginner question. Why can't I move things? Just check that that's not turned on. Just check, yeah, because it's probably turned on. Anyway, okay, so coming back to our donut here, we want to make sure that that's turned on, and I want to change it from snap to increment to snap to face. Okay, and now that I do this, you can see that if I grab this edge here, sorry, that point there, and I just move it down, you can see
That's the header.
part of it is this edge here, at least, or
Shortcut.
this point, is now snapping to the face. Okay,
Hold on,
this
hold
part
on.
is not.
I gotta watch on my phone too, because it's a closer screen. I didn't think there would be this much tiny text. You just hover over it. Wait. What? Okay, hold on.
You can see that if I grab this edge face, that's turned on, and I want to change it from snap to increment to snap to face. Okay, and now that I do this, you can see that if I grab this edge here, sorry, that
Face.
point there, and I just move it down, you can see that part of
Okay.
it is this edge here, at least, or this point, is now snapping to the face.
I guess.
But this part is not. Okay, so there. Okay, okay. I'll try not to say that too much. There is a function for this. Underneath snap to project individual elements, which doesn't explain anything really. Like there's no way you would know that this is the button to push. There's really no clue that that's what to do, but it is. If we check that now, when we use our proportional fall off, anything that falls in the proportional fall off area will now also snap to the face underneath it, and that is how we do it. Now we can do whatever we want here. We can
That's still
move
clipped
this
in though.
around, we can do whatever, and we can make our donut icing look like icing, and it will automatically snap and form the shape of the donut, which
Alright.
is perfect.
This is getting out of hand.
Now, I've learned from doing donuts many, many, many times. I've made more virtual donuts than probably actual donuts I've ever eaten. I've learned.
Did I
that
do something wrong? I don't know.
It's better if you work from
Face.
reference. Okay, so
Project
go to your
individual
Google Images,
elements.
type in donut icing, and then just find an image. Doesn't really matter which one, but like something that you like. Okay, if you like the look of it, like this like extra dribbly
What
one,
the
you could
fuck
get
happened
that.
over
I
there?
have like this one here. Just save the image, put it somewhere, put it on your desktop,
Gee.
and then I'm going to show you how to bring this into Blender. So we want to split our window here. And you can
Alright.
do that one of two ways. One is to go basically over the edge, a divider of a window here, until you get those little arrows there, so that you could change the size of this, right? And just right-click
It's
there.
still clipping
and
into
then you can
itself.
say
I know
vertical
I
or
just did that, but when I
horizontal
pull
split.
it down,
Whoops. Oh, that did nothing. Vertical split.
now it's just inside the...
So we've now got two windows. Another way to do it is to go to the top right-hand corner of your screen until you get... There's no button for it, but your cursor becomes a little target pointer thing. And if you just click and drag to the left into it, it will now split the view. If you click and drag to the right, it will now...
I feel like...
join.
Okay, I'm sorry. We need
and
to
that's
go,
what-
like,
that used to be the
super
old-
back, because
If I
nothing
move
of this
down
is
with
matching
the
up.
key, and then went back to object mode, you can see that we've got something that looks like a little troop, a little dribbly
G,
bit. So
down.
yeah,
Why does it
we're
keep
gonna be
clipping
doing
inside? I
quite
don't
a
get
bit
it.
of that. I'm going to turn on proportional editing, as you could probably guess, so that now when I move down, I can scroll up, or no, scroll down.
Okay, what if I
Increase
turn
the
this
scroll
off?
And now I can create a big dribbly bit. But you'll notice that straight away, there's a couple of problems. Okay, so for one, this bit is sticking straight out, and then also this bit of our icing is clipping through the donut, which would require a whole bunch of fixing and like manually going there. It's not good. So it would be great.
Oh,
we
it's,
could make it
was it because I was
snap
doing it at a
to the
certain
face
angle?
underneath, and there is a feature just for that. Okay, so the snapping tool is right up here. Okay, this little magnet icon. Okay, a quick just overview of snapping. Snapping, you can always, whether you go up there and like turn it on or not, you can always temporarily enable it by holding down Control.
I want you to know I just lifted up my
this
mouse,
default
like
is set to
physically in the air to try and
If
make
I'm
it
moving
move.
an object rotating scaling, that's transforming. Okay, so it's snap during transform. If I'm moving it, if I just hold down Control as I move it, I am temporarily restricting its movement to the grid floor underneath it, basically, because that's the increment that it's looking at. Okay, so I can only move it when I'm holding down Control to that, and that is the exact same thing.
It's a
as if I was to
camera-based
check
thing, so like
that,
you have to be in a
turn that
certain
button on, and then move it without hitting Control. Okay, so there's no difference between holding Control or not holding Control. It functions the exact same way. It's just that this way it lets you do it without having to hold Control, basically. But that's also another good point, because there's a hotkey for it. I can't remember what it is, but you sometimes hit it accidentally without realizing, and
gonna make it all
and then you're like, why
uneven.
can't I move things properly? Like it's all messed up, and that's actually a common beginner question. Why can't I move things? Just check that that's not turned on. Just check, yeah, because it's probably turned on. Anyway, okay, so coming back to our donut here. We want to make sure that that's turned on, and I want to change it from snap to increment to snap to face. Okay, and now that I do this, you can see that if I grab this edge here, sorry, that point there, and I just move it down, you can see that part of it is this edge here at least, or this point.
It's on snap
is
to
now
face.
snapping
He's
to
gonna tell me to do
face.
the other thing. I'm gonna follow.
But this part is not. Okay, so there. Okay, okay. I'll try not to say that too much. There is a function for this. Underneath snap to project individual elements, which doesn't explain anything really. Like there's no way you would know that this is the button to push. There's really no
It's
clue
also
that
not
that's what to do.
on.
But it is. If we check that, now when we use our proportional fall off, anything that falls in the proportional fall off area will now also snap to the face underneath it. And that is how we do it. Now we can do whatever we want here. We can move this around, we can do whatever, and we can make our donut icing look like icing.
It's still clipping
and it will
inward.
automatically snap and form the shape of the donut.
Okay, watch him do it. Watch the man at
Do
work.
whatever, and we can make our donut icing look
Scroll,
like
right.
icing, and it will automatically snap and form the shape of the donut, which is perfect.
Still goes. That one took a long while. Okay. I feel like I've got my second win though, because I was like I get a little bit off course and then I immediately like, oh man, I don't know what's fucking happening, because it's not looking right. I mean, it looks like frosting. I just can't do the thing that he said to do.
Okay.
Which is frustrating, because that was the whole point though, is to learn how to do everything.
I'm temporarily hiding the donut, by the way, which you can do by hitting.
Maybe I made the
hide
donut
anything
too big.
temporarily by hitting
Maybe
H,
we
and
didn't
then
sing it
Alt
right.
H will bring anything back again. So if you just need to temporarily get something out of the way, H, and then Alt H. Okay.
What does
yeah,
H
somehow
do?
This is like, I don't know. It's like clipping through it. Which we
Okay,
do.
it makes it
Yeah, it's odd
disappear.
that's happening. You can see that if I just like randomly click here, that I'm going to bring this through. Yeah.
I'm
There is
picturing
another way,
frosting
which
in
I'll
my
show
head.
you. We're
It
gonna
looks like
use the
frosting
shrink
to
wrap
me.
modifier
That's
next,
good enough.
but I
It's
wanted
gonna
use
have to
Laura
be.
to just sort of show you, sort of like the problem-solving way of doing things. But anyways, all right, let's find where it was I was going to make that gloopy bit. It doesn't really matter. I can just do it right here. Okay, so I'm going to make a little bit that goes down. This bit over here, this bit can go down even further, like that, right there. And then this, I'm going to use to pull down.
Should I
Now,
skip ahead if I'm already not doing this
there's a
part?
bug in Blender.
I'm
I
throwing in the
believe it's a
towel,
bug.
not entirely, but just as frosting goes. I'm like, all right, this is good frosting. That's what frosting looks like.
Through my mesh, which should put the bug. You can see that yes, it's. Oh, the other thing I wanted to do after the solidify modifier now is add another subsurf modifier so that we get that smooth edge back.
Whoa, wait.
My modifier
Okay.
now is add another sub. Yes, it's. Oh, the other thing I
Add
wanted to do
modifier,
after the solidify
subdivision,
modifier now is add another
subsurface. That made it look way
subsurf
worse.
so that we
It
get
looks
that
like a
smooth edge back.
blanket now.
But if I move it down, it looks it's a little too stretched. Okay, so you want to try and go as far as you can, but at a certain point you need extra mesh.
Okay,
You need to
undo
sort of
that,
break
please.
this
Yeah,
line
it needs to look a
create
little
extra
goopier.
parts of the
Goopy is
mesh.
the way to go.
So, the way to
What
do
a
that is
delicious
to
goopy
extrude.
donut.
So if I select part of my mesh here, let's say 3 points, like that, and I hit E, that will extrude. So I now get extra faces.
Okay, extrude. E is extrude.
Snap to the face underneath.
Grab a thing.
And I'm going to do it again.
E.
Let's just make an extra long gloopy bit. Okay, so you can see that is a totally different look, right? You've got this bit that is now like free flowing down there rather than feel like it's like stretching an edge. So
I knew there was a reason Blender
like
I gave up.
Modeling is understanding topology and like where to, you know, add more detail where you need it and where not to, etc.
Let's try and get these vertices out a little bit because it's still.
Yeah.
I hate this, man.
But, you know, I'm trying to keep this fairly simple for this tutorial. Okay, so I've got that little bit there. Now let's do another little bit that goes next to it. So I'll grab this bit, move this down. Let's grab 2 points.
The thing he told me to do is not preventing it from clipping.
Will it be? Yeah, that looks a little bit weird, actually.
I feel like I did everything. I mean, to a certain point, I just stopped, but
bugs get
closest center.
Quickly in Blender, by the way, if you're curious. They are hard to come across because with an open source software like Blender, like so many people are using it.
This isn't doing anything.
Reporting bugs that, yeah, it is surprisingly more stable.
Yeah, just fucking accept everything.
I say that now and like people will be raging.
Individual elements.
It's not. It's
move.
You know,
Move.
But I'm pretty sure that's like fairly well agreed upon in the community. But anyways,
all right, nice goop, man.
Because it's definitely not perfect, but it does seem to be fairly stable. That's one of its good great points. All right, and you know what? I might make another little gloopy bit over here.
I'm gonna give it one more shot, trying to make goop.
This part's too long, but I do want to make this look good, and I want to show you
G, downward. It clips inside. Let me
like,
get really fucking up in here, right? Okay. G.
Why does it take 6 hours to make a donut? Well, it doesn't.
It still clips inside.
You can do it really quick if you want, but you won't learn anything. Anyways, now I'm making on the other side of the donut. Let's say over here, like a really big loopy bit that goes down. But so far down that it's going to extrude another piece down. Hitting E to extrude it down, and then I'll scale that in by hitting
Why,
X.
as soon as I hit G, does it clip inside of itself?
Alright, that's pretty good. And then I'll make this bit next to it, because that seems to be a common thing. When you've got one gloopy bit, there's another bit that's right next to it.
It's a little more gloopy.
I don't know if that's true or not.
You're getting somewhere with that.
As I go. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Well, let's just say we continued that all the way around, but you could fine-tune it and make it look as good as you want. Now, another thing to learn is that donuts, unlike this one, I mean, this is actually pretty good, but you could see that the edge, like the donut shape, something happens in the middle of it, okay? And you might be able to see it in other reference photos. But basically, usually it's like divoted. It's like it's fat all around it, and then this part on the edge, this one's probably a clear photo. It sort of cuts into it a little bit. And the reason for that...
I can't even...
I actually recorded a video that I'll put on the screen here. The reason for that is that when it's cooked, it's put into a fryer. It sits and it just like floats. So half of it is submerged in the fryer, and then it and then it splits.
G it back up.
And then they do the other half. So the part that's like resting on...
It's a little more natural. It's still clipping, but...
Usually is cooked less, because I guess the oil is less...
What can you do? It's a donut. That's what I was sent on this earth to do, and that's what I did.
It doesn't happen all the time. But evidently, that seems to be one...
Condensation, that shit just dripped all over my pants. I promise I did not pee in them.
So it's like it's fat up top, it goes in a little bit, and then it's fat down the bottom again.
How long does Advil last? Like 6-8 hours? Took it like an hour ago.
Geometry. Same problem as we did with the donut.
I'm still feeling it though. I can still feel things. I wish I wasn't.
So I'm going to apply my subsurf modifier over here. Hit apply. Now I've got double the geometry, and I don't need to add another one because I don't really need it right now. And now I'm going to hit O. Whoops. O again. Turn that on. Disable snapping because I no longer need that.
What's the subsurf multiplier? I have the subdivision multiplier.
I'm just going to make it like a little bit flat on the inside part here. Okay. Cool.
It does look a little better.
This is now way off.
When you're right, you're right.
So why did I do it in this order? Right. Why, Andrew? Why didn't we start shaping it the way like that? Because now it would seem like we have to go through here turn on this and like snap it for each one of these parts, and that's just annoying. Well, you don't, okay? Because there is.
Let's turn that
and
off.
I did it in this order because I want to show you there's two ways to make something snap. The other one is the shrink wrap modifier. So the shrink wrap modifier, if I click this little target eyedropper here,
That didn't
the
do anything.
eyedropper, whenever you see that, it just means click it and then select on your viewport which object you want to target.
It's
You
in
hit
like
that.
fucking 1080p or not. It's like in 240p. Okay.
The other one is the shrink wrap
Shrink
modifier.
wrap.
So the shrink wrap modifier, if I click this little target eyedropper here, the eyedropper, whenever you see that,
Target.
it just means click it and then select on your viewport which object you want to target. If you hit that, it will now snap to the mesh. Now, what's happened? Why does it look like, I don't know, pretty cool pattern?
Well, we did the same thing.
Why is it doing that? It's because of the order of your modifier. So if something doesn't look right, check the order of your modifiers. It's working top to bottom. So it's giving thickness first, and then later on it's shrink wrapping it to it. So obviously that's not right. Shrink wrapping goes first. Now that we've done that,
Where did it go?
you can see this is what it looked like before.
How do I
this is what looks
drag
like
it?
after. So shrink wrap modifier will try to find the shortest distance between each of these points and the mesh underneath it.
How do I wait? Wait, whoa.
Why
Tough
is it doing
guy.
that? It's because of the order of your modifier. So if something doesn't look
Oh,
right,
you
check
grab it
order
on
of
the-
your
okay.
modifiers. It's working top to bottom. So it's giving thickness first, and then later on it's shrink wrapping it to it. So obviously that's not right. Shrink wrapping goes first.
It's clipping way more than
Now
it
that
was
we've done
before.
that, you can see this is what it looked like before. This is what it looks like after. So shrink wrap modifier will try to find the shortest.
Let's look at the
distance between
F12
each of
render
these
and
points
see.
and the mesh underneath it.
It's so low quality, I
And
can't
it
even
just so
tell.
happens to usually get it right. Just check the inside part, make sure there's no problems there. But yeah, that's how you can do it. So now we've got something that looks a little bit more like the shape of a
Okay, well,
donut.
the shrink wrap made it look
Notice that
worse,
the
but I wish it
edges
was there
are-
from the
sides
beginning,
of it are
because...
not jutting out. They
Okay,
seem to
what
be
if shrink
flat.
wrap goes below
It's kinda
subdivision?
cool. It's kind of what we want.
That
We
looks
might
a little
actually make the
better.
bottom bit just
That
little
looks a
bit
lot
flat.
better,
So I'm gonna
okay.
hit, Alt-S on this.
So maybe not at the very top. What if I put it under
Just make this a
solidify?
little bit chunkier.
Way
Just add
better.
A little bit of interest to it.
It looks a
And
little
then,
too smooth.
Yeah, just go through it and continue.
We're veering off the
making
beaten
horizon
path to do our
like
own
you
thing,
want
but
to.
I feel like
This was.
I'm a
one
bad
way to
book
do
learner
this
or
grouping
school
is-
learner. I
is
kind of
it's
just need to
okay,
do it
but doesn't
myself.
look
That's what we could
as
have
good as it
done.
could,
Like, I know the
right?
donut
Because when
tutorials
this
here to
drip
just teach you
goes
the things
down,
that you
can see
can
it becomes
do,
more bulbous
but
as the liquid
I feel like I need to
forms
just
back
make
off
my
of
own
it.
thing.
And we are missing that. We are going to do that in the next step, the next part. We are going to jump into sculpting. So just basically create
There's so
the
many
basic
parts,
sort of
dude.
form that you
Part
want,
5 of
but we're gonna do more
17.
detail,
I don't think we're gonna
and
finish
we'll
this
learn about the
donut.
tool of Blender, sculpting in the next part. So go ahead, click here on the screen, and I will see you in the next part. See why professionals like Oscar Wojnski trust Polygon
Of
for their
course.
models and textures. Sign up
The
for
world
free at
famous
polygon.com
Oscar
to see the
Wojnski.
difference that high
Everyone
quality
knows that
assets
guy.
can make to your renders. Welcome to part 5. We have, up until this point, just been working in
I shouldn't do that.
edit mode.
It could
right?
be
And
misconstrued.
manually
I mean
coming
no
in here
harm.
with our points and sort of moving and manipulating them. But there is another method called sculpting.
That looks way
which can
goofier.
be beneficial in certain
Okay,
cases,
other
and
method
in some cases
that
highly
makes me
onerous.
feel a little more
Allows you to use
hopeful, 'cause I did not
brush
like that
strokes to
method
move
at
vertices
all.
around. That's what I'll show you right now. So
I made a real
if
mess.
we were to start sculpting here, it would just be terrible because we've got all these modifiers, right? We've got shrink wrap, solidify, subdivision, blah, blah, blah. When you start sculpting, you don't have any of that. Okay?
Right.
So what you need to do is apply what you want before you start sculpting. So we want all of these applied in this order. So you can go...
What does he have applied? Shrink wrap, solidify, subdivision. Do I need the other... Why do I have another subdivision? Yeah, now it's way better. Why did I have that?
So what you need to do is apply what you want before you start sculpting.
Subdivision,
So
shrink
we
wrap,
want all of these
solidify.
applied
Remember
in
that.
this
Subdivision,
order.
shrink wrap,
So you
solidify.
can go to the little drop down and hit apply, or you can use the hotkey Control A.
Wait, this one's not
and
on.
Control A again. Okay, so when I do that, I've applied also that subdiv modifier, right? So it's given me double the amount of vertices, which is again what I would need, because if I go back to what it looked like before, that's not enough to really play with it. Because what we want to do is we want to create some of these little globules. Pretend that's a word, globules.
I've heard that
droplets
term
that sort
before.
of bulge out. So we need more vertices. So I'm going to hit Control A on that, and now we've got enough. So
What?
Sculpt Mode. Some of these. Okay, so when I do that, I've applied also that subdiv modifier, right?
Right.
So it's giving me double the in this order. So you can go to the little drop down and hit Apply, or you can use the hotkey Control A
Apply.
and Control A
Apply.
again. Okay, so when I
Apply.
do that, I've applied also that subdiv modifier, right? So
Right.
it's giving me double the amount of vertices, which is, again, what I would need, because if
Okay.
I go back to what it looked like before, that's not enough to really play with it.
No.
'Cause what we
The
wanna do is we wanna
globule.
create some of these little globules.
Right. The globule.
Pretend that's a word, globules. Little droplets that sort of bulge out. So we need more vertices. So I'm going to hit Control A on that, and now we've got enough.
Nothing
So,
I made
Sculpt
as
mode. Let's do it. Go up to the top tab of your window there. So these are workspaces. Yeah, all these
Sculpting.
ones along here. These are workspaces, and basically it's just like a pre-configured layout. So instead of having this, it's just like pre-configured to work this way.
I think I'm
you
gonna
can
like this
also
more.
Swap in and out of
I already
something
like how it
wherever
looks
you are
more.
without changing your mode, just by hitting Control Tab. I suppose I should turn that tool back on. See that? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So Sculpt Mode. If you just
Object
start
mode.
drawing, just paint across it, you'll see that
Tab,
you've got
Sculpt
some
mode.
sculpting happening. There are a number of different tools within sculpting. The draw one is the most basic. It's literally a sort of a push-pull based on where it is that you're looking from. It'll just basically push the surface out towards you. And then the opposite of that, if you hold down Control, that is sort of the reverse of a brush. So you can see that it's now digging into it.
Right. I want it to go out
So
more.
a whole bunch of these you could use. I'd say the most common is it's probably Grab, which you can use by just tapping
That
the
adds
G,
some texture,
or
some
hitting
veins
down
to
there.
it. Now we got a veiny
And
donut.
that enables you to click and pull out.
I love this.
onto,
This is way better.
Yeah, just anywhere.
Give it some
Now,
bumps.
the
Put
brush
some
size
hair
of
on your
this is really
chest.
small. So you can change the brush size up here. I don't know why, but my mouse is doing this weird thing where I just doesn't register my movement until like I start moving. It's very bizarre. Anyways, but you could do it.
Now
but
that's it.
actually
It
the
looks
top
like it's
feature, just
alive,
the
like it's a
primary thing
pregnant
doing here
stomach.
Is F, and then
F.
you just drag out until you've got the size that you want, basically, and then you just do a single click, and then Shift F will give
Yeah,
you the
clear it
strength.
off
So you can see
entirely.
the
No
top,
more
actually, as I
donut.
move, you can see the strength value changing there as well. But I'll just leave that as the default, and you can see.
Yeah,
now
get
dragging
these
makes
out a
lot
little
of
more.
sense. So what is the
Still
difference between,
clipping,
like,
and we need to
using
fix
grab
that.
here and then
No more
using
clipping,
it
you know?
Here? I mean, it's just like ease of use, like which one makes more sense depending on what it is that you're trying to do. So some people would find that working with grab in certain areas would be preferable, and then others might find, as I do sometimes, that you want to see
Get
the
some
mesh, you wanna
globules
actually
go
be able to
down a little bit, and it's still
control and
hugging the.
take
It is not
vertices and
hugging
move them
the.
on specific axes.
I was in the wrong.
Oh yeah, that thing's still kicking in.
Looks good from different angles though.
Yeah,
Kind of.
So that might be useful, but in this case,
Okay, well let's
we wanna
push it
do
in a
some-
little
some
bit. We
sculpting.
made a
So-
mistake, so let's fix
okay,
it.
So grab.
Hey,
what's
look at
another one
that.
that's really heavily used is smooth, and this
Oh.
will obviously smooth out detail. Now, you can
Snake
also
hood,
temporarily
thumb,
activate smooth
grab,
anywhere,
pinch.
regardless of what tool you've got, just by holding down Shift. So if you just
Oh,
use
like
Shift,
smooth.
you can see that it's just temporarily activated the smooth tool. So if you want it, because it's such a,
I have
don't
to
know why the
control
default is set to
again
0.7,
because-
it seems way too high to me. But if you're using another tool and you start holding down Shift, you don't have the control to change the strength. The strength is still reflected over here.
This is getting pretty
So if you
bumpy.
wanna- I would suggest turning that down to like a 0.2, and then when you use it, it's like now a lot more.
See, like that
subtle
clears it
when
off
you use
entirely.
the
I don't
smooth
want
tool.
that.
Okay, now the other one.
And control's
that-
not much different.
I'd say it's pretty heavily used, even for sculpting characters and things. Is inflate, and that is the one that we really want to use here.
Character inflate.
For these globules. So if I just click if I just click in one place and I don't move my mouse, it doesn't build upon it.
Oh, no, I
unless
took a
you've
bite
got,
out.
Airbrush as a setting turned on. So you can see,
No more donut.
if you hit N, you're on your properties, and then go to Tool. This is showing you active.
Dude, this UI,
Also
too
here,
much
by
is
the way.
happening.
So these are your properties, right, for your scene and everything else.
He said,
But
oh,
this
you'll
one at the
only
top
use
there
like
is
10%
active
of it.
tool. So what is the difference between this and this? Nothing. It's completely the same.
How do I inflate
It
it?
was just a habit that I went to properties. But yeah, it's over here now. So if you turn on, let me just find it actually. There it is, airbrush. So if you, basically that enables you to, you don't have to like move your mouse. You could just click on it and
Airbrush on the left side, or?
there it is, airbrush. So if you, basically that enables you to,
Brush settings.
Like move your mouse. On, let me just find it actually.
This method. Is it under advanced? Texture, stroke method.
There it is, airbrush.
Airbrush.
So if you, basically that enables you to, you don't have to like move your mouse. You could just click on it.
Oh, it is
leave
making a
wherever it
bubble.
is
I
you
thought I was
want,
going
and
inward.
then it will just build upon that area basically. So I
Damn.
can click there, I can click here, like such. Like such? I don't know.
I think I made my...
What was that video of the Miss America and such as things and such?
What are you, a streamer?
Poor
What are you
girl.
doing?
You don't want to become a meme for something like that. So airbrush is working, it works fine over here, but it's not working so great over there. So I'm going to switch it back to space, which basically means it'll activate when you draw out further enough that it thinks there should be another dot there, basically.
Goopy
anyways,
little
I'm
guys
basically
going goopy down.
looking at my reference
gooping their
photo
way
here, which I can bring
downwards.
back by dragging this out and then going to image editor.
It's at least making it look
Click on this.
like more
I
naturally
can see
messy
that,
than just
yeah,
like
basically on
fucking
the
weird.
areas, not just on like these globule bits, but here as well.
Stop
Like, up
saying-
here you can see there's like a thin film of that icing, but down there, that's where it all rolls off to. So really on the outer edge, there, I wanna do
This
some
is a
painting.
mess, dude.
So I'm
This
just
is
clicking
no longer a
along
donut.
that edge there with the inflate brush.
Let's fill out the
If
middle a
you
little
find that
bit.
it's too much, you can use Shift F.
There
to
we go. That's
turn
where
it
the
down,
bubble
make
should
more
be.
Subtle movements or turn it
Because
up.
that's where there's like little frosting imperfections.
And obviously, this will work a lot better if you have a stylus. So
What?
a stylus has the one big advantage. I mean, not just because it's you can flick your wrist. That's not really
Look
the
at the-
big
look at
advantage
the
of
wrist.
styluses. It's more so because
His looks so much better.
you've got pen pressure.
Like, I know he's
So
been
you can
doing this his whole
subtly
career
do,
and I
like,
just started, but I feel like my donut shouldn't look like shit. Like, it should at least look like a donut, right?
Like even like really basic styluses will have like two.
The only thing that makes it look like a donut is the default shape it already was.
Your fingers like
It
pushing on it.
looked more like a donut before I did all this to
Whereas
it.
your mouse has one. It's a binary on and off thing. So I'm using mouse right now because I know that most of you watching are also using a mouse. So I want to show you that it is possible.
Right.
But I also want to say I recommend getting a stylus.
My jaw made a clicking
If you
noise
can
like you're
afford it.
opening a door to a
And
haunted
especially
house.
if you want to get into characters or don't rush
Next
out
time
and
we
invest
do this,
yourself
no
in it.
tutorial.
Just
We're not gonna
make sure
watch
that you
shit,
enjoy
alright? I'm gonna
Blender,
figure it out on my
that
own
this is something you
by
wanna
just
do.
doing things. And
But, at
what
some
I did
point
in
you'll probably
Premiere
realize
is
as
there's
you
like
do
this
this 3D more,
demonization of looking stuff up
know,
when you could
a
just look
stylus is
anything up.
probably a worthwhile
People, I
investment,
have
so
friends and like people
if you
online
pick
coming to
up
me is like, hey, can you teach me how to edit? And I'm like,
really
dude,
cheap, just look on, like,
legitimately,
Facebook Marketplace,
everything I looked
just
up.
type in
And they're like, oh, you watched like a
Wacko,
tutorial on how to edit?
sort of like
Like,
the
no.
brand.
Just, I
There's a
looked
bunch of,
up
like,
how
cheap,
to spin text in
cheap
Premiere and then watched a
brands,
30-second video. Just look everything
go
up.
to as well.
I'm gonna make a
Anyways,
funky
now
little
what
creature.
I'm going to do is just across here because we got this Sculpt Brush out. Why not just add a little bit of variance? Oh, the strength is too high. I'll turn that down. A little bit of variance to our top, our icing.
So can I do this without it
Why
fucking
not?
up?
So I'm just doing a few little
All right.
dabs. A dab here, a dab there.
I need a dab.
Just to give a little bit of a
Blob.
wavy surface. Why not? And
Control
then also
does
down
the
here,
opposite.
although it's
Right,
not really
bumpy,
gonna be seen that
Something's
much.
living inside
I'll
this
just make sure
donut,
that there's a
and it wants to
little
get
bit of
out.
variance here. Right. It's usually where it's like it's all sort of mushed
Let's
together in the center
experiment.
Anyway.
Grab,
and then
pinch,
do like a little bit of the dough
scrape,
sticking out
fill,
underneath.
flatten, smooth,
I don't know.
crease,
Donut shops are popular, man.
cloth,
I don't know
clay-
if that's like
layer,
a revelation to anyone else.
clay
But, like,
thumb.
I don't know. I try to eat healthy and like avoid sugary things, right? And so I just, for my whole life, I've just been ignoring like donut shops. But then I went.
But
there
you're
to
the
take
donut
a
guy.
reference photo, or that video that I showed you. I was like, wow, there's a cube.
Need to fix whatever I did
like
here.
Like, you know,
yeah.
artisanal donut shop or anything. This was just like your regular donut king, just in the shopping center. I was like, wow. So there are people that are just like, gotta go do my groceries.
Alright, this is,
buy a donut.
it's no longer like
Don't judge it,
inhumanly
don't
like,
judge it,
oh,
okay.
Uncanny
Well,
Valley,
I
that's
mean,
too
look,
flat.
everybody
What you're
judges.
supposed to do is like, oh, I don't want to be too flat, but I don't want to be too bumpy.
It's one of
I've
those
made a
things where it's
bumpy.
like,
This is like a
you
donut
think the
that
rest of
like,
the world
you're
is
like,
like
hey, you call the
viewers,
DoorDash
right?
guy and then you don't tip
but
him
it's-
so that
it's-
he
it's
just
not like
fucking
the
drops the
snacks.
donut on the
Some
ground
people
in
say
like the
that me
sewer and
eating
steps on it
nuts
and
is
toss it against the
poor idea
wall
of a snack.
and then puts it
All
back
right.
in the box and
Looking
delivers
at
it
my
to you.
donut
Says,
here,
hey, here's your
let's,
fucking donut.
let's
Why
do
am I
some
so
more.
bad
Yeah,
at this?
Might as well. We got the Sculpt Brush out. So
An hour
select your
42.
donut. If you can't do that, you have to Control Tab. This is how I'm doing this, or you can go up here. You have to swap to Object Mode, remember, before you can switch to another object to start sculpting that. So when you've got the other object selected, then Alt Tab and do some sculpting over here as well. So I'll do a little bit of inflation. Bit of inflation. Not hyperinflate. No. Only the US government.
Maybe that's my issue, is that I'm making the thing too big.
I don't know anything
when
about
the cursor should
politics
be
or
small.
economics. I just see stuff on the news. Hyperinflation.
Small.
I'm like, ooh, doesn't sound good. Alright. Just a few.
Trying to fix whatever the fuck's going on here. Hey, it worked, kind of. Which one am I doing?
My blender or is this mouse?
Let's
My
get
mouse is
inflate
doing
back
that.
in here.
That's very bizarre. Alright. Maybe I just need to reformat.
Alright, let's get Blob.
Okay. How's it looking? Pretty
This
good.
is...
I'll
Alright.
swap back. I'll
I
do a
need to
little bit
stop
here,
touching this
a
thing
dab
and just
here,
let
a dab
him
there.
do it.
You sort of you get the idea, right? I don't need to show you everything.
I got it like
play
10
around
minutes
with it.
ago, and I've
Dry
been
brush,
going downhill
G,
since.
Inflate brush.
Why am I
I,
dropping so many frames? Does the stream look like a
smooth
slideshow right
brush.
now?
You just hold down Shift.
No, we're good. You can see how fast I'm
Don't do
blinking.
it too much. That's kind of a common
'Cause
mistake.
my-
People smooth out.
I didn't want to
Things
say
are
it because,
sculpting.
you know,
Smooth out all the
nobody's
detail.
complained, but I personally
You
don't
wanna
like
do
when
just a
people,
little bit
like,
here and there.
I don't want to complain and be like, oh, man, my eyes hurt, my head hurts, but, I mean, it's true.
All right. So you can see the
I'm not doing
differences,
Morse
right,
code,
that
I haven't been
sculpting has.
kidnapped.
It's more of a fluid, organic motion that you can sort of... It's more creative than the edit mode, where you're coming in here with the vertices. But there are pros and cons of each. Sculpt mode, you can't do that snap to faces thing, right? Especially when you've got, you know, a surface like this, right? That's got volume now because we've applied the solidify thing. You can't do that snap thing. So because we want it wrapping around our donut, it's good that we did it in this order. Otherwise, we would...
Again, I know I'm. This is my first attempt,
it's also a little bit
and
harder
he's
to
like
do
professional
this part,
Blender
right?
guy.
Like,
That's
it's
his
like
whole
this part needs to
thing.
go out, this part
But
needs to
mine
go
looks
in.
so. The thing is, though,
yeah,
he's
it's-
not
it's
professional at Blender.
There are
Well, I mean, he
certain
is,
things
but
that you'd be
he's
like, oh, it's just gonna be easier if I just
more
swap
importantly
into
professional at
I'll
teaching
do it
people.
there, and then I'll swap
So
back
mine
to
should
Sculpt Mode.
realistically
Do something
look
there.
like that.
You
Okay,
see.
I'm gonna hold on. Let me look up other
Anyways,
people's
I'm gonna
first
jump back
donuts.
to layout mode now, which is I guess sort of maybe it's more of like the default view. But
What was
layout
it?
is the one
Control
that I
tab.
normally stay on. That's where at least that's where I
Object
stay
mode.
rooted.
Beyond
And
repair.
then because we've got like some of this like little jagged edges coming in, I'm gonna add in another subsurface.
Blender
If you've got a poor
donut
computer, you find that like
attempt.
it's like rendering becomes complex later, or it's hard to move around your viewport. You might not want.
These
to.
all
You might
look
wanna just,
so
like,
good.
Delete that perhaps. But on my case, I would just want to make that look nice and smooth. So that's why I've left that in. All right. Well, that is sculpting. That's good. We made
This
some
is
good time.
embarrassing.
Go ahead and join me in the next video as we get into materials, lighting, and rendering.
Right. That's
To make
it,
renders
everything
like these,
basically.
you need
Coloring it.
high
It's
quality
30 minutes.
assets, which is why I created Polygon, a library of models, textures, and HDRs that work in any 3D software.
All right, donut
Get
man.
started today at Polygon.
This is the last one I'm gonna do. It better look like a
have
donut.
juicy looking, delicious donut.
I
Now
wouldn't
it's
call
time to
mine
talk
that, but
about rendering, and lighting and shading and everything else. So as I explained at the start, if you go and you hit a render, it will take a snapshot of what you've got from the point
It doesn't
of view
look that
of the
bad.
camera.
I mean, it's
Now,
also very blurry
I've
and
done
far
that,
away,
just
like
so
his
happens
is right
our
now.
donut is
So you can see
really,
what
really
I'm
tiny
talking about.
because when we scaled down our donut, we didn't change the light or the camera. So to bring this camera in here, there's a couple of ways you could do it. I mean, you could just, drag it in and try and manually position it. The way I like to do it is I get my view where I like it, like where I want my camera, like this, and then I hit the, let me turn on the screen keys too. I hit the hotkey Control-Alt-Number-Pad 0, and that will snap the camera to that location.
I don't think I'll ever need to do that, but I appreciate the 3 Control-Alt-Delete I have to do.
In your properties, so I just hit N to bring up properties. Under View, you can click Camera to View, and then when you move like normally, like orbiting.
How important is that, though?
The camera will stay locked to
So
it.
before, when he said only, you only use 10% of it, did he mean, oh, this is the 10% I use, or he's showing us everything and we don't need to do most of it?
Doing it like this means that you can basically put your camera, position it wherever you want it, and it'll. My
camera is so far away.
Leave it always locked. Like I work with a guy who's like learned 3D. Let's
put it right there.
That's what he's familiar with. He just leaves that checked. To me, it's weird. I hate it.
Okay, wait. Now if I do F12, it'll be close, right?
But it's up to you. Anyways, okay. Position my camera there.
It can't see anything.
All right. The light is really far away. Let's bring the light in to be somewhere close by.
All right. My fucking depth perception. I can't see.
The lamp's all the way over there. Our donut is there. If you hit Alt,
I don't know if it's lined up or
that
not.
will actually snap any object, any selected object, to the center of the 3D viewport, which is where these axes lines intersect, which just so happens to be where our donut is. So I'll just move this over here, like that, just so we've got like some basic directional light.
Right, that's way off.
Right. And let's look through our camera. All right, and also I might as well. I don't like the intersecting through my.
There we
those
go.
Grid lines intersecting.
A little better.
It's just annoying me.
Can I move it down more?
Let's move this up.
F12.
Here's the other way you can move the
That's
camera.
worse.
If you don't like checking that,
Move it up.
just select the camera frame, then you hit G. and
There we
you
go, that's
select
centered.
any other object.
Don't mess with it
So
anymore.
that's another way I like to do
The light, on the other hand,
it. Okay, so now hit F12 to do a render. Okay.
let's put it right there.
The
Perfect.
lighting is really, really, really bright because, of course, it was set for a different scale, really far away. Just set it to like somewhere around.
Oh, yeah, that's way fucking saturated. Let's put it behind
F12.
the
There we
camera.
go. Okay, cool. So we've now taken
Like
a
lights are
snapshot
supposed to
from the point
be.
of view of our camera, and it has calculated the lighting information.
Still
calculated
really
shading
bright.
and all that good stuff. Okay. There is a way though to see that exact result in your viewport.
It's a little
And
better.
you can do that. Top right-hand corner, viewport shading. Set the method to render.
You better wrap this up, man. I'm getting bored of this.
And now look at that. We have the exact same result as if we were to hit F12, but we have it in real time as we pan around. So this is
Damn, my shit's starting to hurt again.
You can also change
I
the
thought
frame
these were
rate
supposed to
by
last
holding
for.
down
I
Z
mean, they are children's
on the
ass.
keyboard,
Children's
just
ass.
drag
It's
it.
not.
So
I haven't
solid
been
view,
eating
that's the
children's
one
ass.
that we've been using up until this
Advil. Yeah,
there's also
children's
wireframe,
Advil.
and this will just show you the mesh, which is.
But still, I didn't take
pretty
that
similar,
much
by the way, to
more.
this one,
Or I didn't take
right?
like.
But just
It said 3 and I took 4.
And then you've got material preview.
'Cause I'm not a
which
children.
Is, it's used for material.
But it
previews.
only
It's
lasted
basically
for like, when
used
did I
like
do it? It's like
HDR
coming up
light.
on
So
3
instead of
hours.
The lighting that you've got in your scene, it's just
I guess
a
I'll
quick
see.
way
I
to
don't know.
materials.
I am
It
dreading
uses
going to
HDR,
like
so
I'm
you can see
tired,
reflections.
but I'm dreading going to sleep because I know it's
to
gonna
put
get
best
worse, and I
but
gotta
right,
hold the
there you
fucking
go.
mouth
Got
guard thing in while I sleep, and I'm afraid it's
So
gonna
how
slip
is it
out
we're
or
able
something.
to, like see things in real time and whatnot. Because rendering is normally a very, very intensive process for the CPU and the processor. It has to calculate all this lighting and shading information. And that is where we need to talk about render engines. By the way, the size of this camera is bugging me. I'm just going to change the viewport display of this. Won't make any difference to a render. It's just for the
I am
viewport.
not. I can tell you right now. I'm sorry. I'm not retaining any of this
Okay,
information.
render engines. Okay, so what we're looking at right now.
Why did I think watching a tutorial would help? I've tried this before, and I'm like, well, I couldn't pay attention to it. I got my ADD-addled brain, but maybe if I watch it on stream, it'll be easier because I'm forced to watch it. But now I'm just. I mean, it's not like it's an uncompromised stream. Like, oh, everything is normal, because it's not. I'm on
You use a third-party
pain
tool,
medication.
you pay a company. So basically, there are a whole bunch of render engines out there. You've got V-Ray, Arnold, Redshift, Corona,
Cool.
Octane. Those are sort of the big 5, and then also Cycles and EV. Cycles and EV are
What did I buy? Let me check my
Blender
order.
comes with. They're built-in rendering engines, and you can swap between them right here. You've got EV and you've got Cycles. Workbench, just ignore that.
How
That
long
is
does
it basically,
children's
it takes
Advil last?
Like, you hit render and it's the exact same result
When
as
you're
if
an
were in
adult.
solid view mode, like the viewport kind of thing. It's used for basically like taking screenshots.
6 to 8 hours, but that's if you're a kid.
Okay, so EV. EV is a real
Dosing should be repeated every 6 to 8 hours. If needed, children's ever produced should be according to
If
the...
you've played with sort of any 3D tool that has sort of shading information in it in real time.
I'm fine.
In real time.
Should be
that is a
replaced
real-time rendering.
right. If needed, children's ever product should be
Cycles.
used
If we
according
switch
to the
to
label
cycles,
direction, unless
you'll
otherwise
notice
directed by a
something.
doctor. You should consult your doctor
It
with a
takes
question
longer,
about children's Advil.
and you get this grain that appears.
Oh, to be a child again.
Okay. And also, you will probably notice
I
that
have
it's
not been paying
slower.
attention.
Okay, it is no longer real time. You can see that it's sort of lagging here. Cycles is a some people call it an offline rendering engine.
Let's see if I can
Also
eat in
path
this state.
tracer,
Because that was the issue before, is that I wasn't
ray
eating.
tracer. What Cycles is doing
Ow.
that EV is not.
I'm
is it
fine.
is
Don't worry about me.
calculating light
I've dropped
access.
15
So you
frames.
can see in
Or
here,
50, I've dropped
you see
frames
this difference.
15
If I
times.
swap from
I wish it was
Cycles,
only
so
15
this is
frames.
Cycles. Now see how light it looks inside here? If I swap to EV, watch what happens. It's just dark. Alright, there's no light.
God.
that's
It's moving like a slideshow now where
So
every
the
couple
advantages that
it'll
you get
click.
with a real-time engine like EV is that it is
I need more
real-time.
drugs.
When I hit render here, I get a result in less than a second.
Right.
In fact, it should be real time, really, because it's real time.
I guess
If
I
were to do it
learned
in
stuff,
cycles,
but
and I was to hit render.
for me it's just got to be trial and error,
obviously it has
really. I just need
work
to
through it.
try
It's
stuff.
also counting
I didn't
seconds
learn
here,
the
and it's
proper
giving me a
things.
result
Like
in
it
4
definitely
seconds.
does not.
Alright,
It's
so
not a
that is
donut,
huge
but
difference. And that's 4 seconds.
trying to
is
find
the
a sense of
fastest
closure
time.
here, you know.
It escalates from there, okay?
Regardless
But
of what
you get
happens
results.
tonight, I'm
So-
looking
so it really
towards the
depends on what it
future
is you're using.
with
Some
excitement,
people
you know,
swear
with
by
hope.
EV, they just love it,
Someday I'll
especially
learn
if
this.
you're
I just
doing,
need to
like,
keep at it.
non-photorealistic work, like motion graphics, advertising.
I do
sometimes.
like that idea of making like a
What else?
my own
Cartoony,
custom
stylized things you can
90s
make.
platformer
I
mascot.
just love cycles
Because if it's already
everything
like
sort of works.
polygonal and
The thing about
angular, it wouldn't
EV
matter
is
because
that
it's
you
supposed to
often
look
have
like that
change things
anyway.
to tweak it
What I did like
to
doing in
make it
Blender,
more
even though I
realistic,
didn't know
whereas
how to
cycles
use
is
Blender, was just
realistic
loading up
for
models from the model
Okay, but
resource and putting them in
let's,
Blender and
one
looking
other
at
thing,
them.
'cause if you're using cycles, also, you might find it is really
Edit.
incredibly slow.
Preferences.
And that might be
Well, I don't know
because
why
you're
I'm
not
copying
using
him now.
your GPU.
I have to shit
So there are
really
2
bad,
ways
but
to
I feel
render.
like I
One
should
is
just
with your
end
CPU,
the stream at the
and
hour
that would be
mark,
set
so
to
I could
what
hold
you
it for
use
6
using your
minutes.
CPU. The other way is to use your
Oh,
GPU, which
no,
would
I-
be
wait, can
one
I?
of these things. So CUDA
It's
is
making
the
a foul
CUDA
noise.
optics
Oh
are what you'll
boy,
see if
felt
you
that
have
for a
NVIDIA
second.
graphics card that is compatible.
It's good, I'm
I have
fine.
2.
What you
I
should
have
do if you have to
6.
go to the bathroom is get really
I don't wanna
hard
get too
really
familiar with
fast.
this. I'm not-
Because then you can only focus
no
on
longer
that one
tucked
thing.
in. I
And
wanna
your blood...
upgrade.
Wait,
I'm
no,
waiting
it
for
was
the
something
prices to
else.
rise.
What
You
was
only
it?
see these options if you've got an NVIDIA card. I have never seen.
There was
this
another
before.
thing that you have to do.
Oh,
You
okay,
get hard
okay.
and it
It's
helps.
the AMD one. Okay, so they're jumping in. That's good. Okay, so
I don't
there are
remember what
some
it was,
options out
though.
there. So if you have a compatible
Because there was
card,
one life
and
hack.
you see
I
these
almost
options,
mixed them up of
definitely
like,
use it
oh, if
because
you're
more than likely
dizzy,
it'll be miles
flex.
faster than CPU rendering.
And I was going to say if you're dizzy, get hard, but that would ruin the blood flow.
CPU
Not
rendering,
ruin,
you can see
not
it's gonna
irreparably,
take
but
a
like...
while. I'm already past 4 seconds,
I really gotta shit.
and I'm not even
Oh, man.
a tenth into.
Oh, his video's lagging
not
now.
even a hundredth. Okay, it's
Or
getting
I'm
faster.
lagging.
All right, it's speeding up because you can see.
Praying,
Okay,
you
so
know,
16
praying
seconds.
that the stream
That's
just
4
goes
times
down and
as
I can
long
immediately
on my
shit my
CPU.
drawers.
Now, obviously, that will change wildly.
Damn,
depending
this
on
is
your
what I
computer.
get for only eating
Okay,
mashed
and what's
potatoes
the
and
difference between CUDA
and
and
Go-Gurt
optics, by the way? If
today.
you've got both, use optics. It's the
I'm
newer one,
again,
it's
I'm not
older
retaining
cards,
any of
it's more
this.
compatible
I am
with
simply
anything
talking
else.
over him.
CUDA is older compatible, so you might not see it if you've got an older card.
Here's what we'll do.
But use optics.
Let me check my thing actually.
Okay, but let's swap it back to EV because
What we'll do is we
I know
will.
that some people will want to use this
file-
tutorial just for EV because not everyone.
I don't wanna
has,
show
a
my-
graphics card or anything that can
I don't
be
want to show my
used.
files. I don't think I have. I don't have
So
anything
I'll show
hidden
you
in
how
there,
we
but you
can
never
get
know.
this, working with EV. First of all, let's add in a
File.
mesh so that we can see
Save as.
see how it's going to look with shadows. Okay?
Yeah.
This is where EV falls apart.
We'll title it
Where do they
Donut
fall apart? It's when you
Point
start
Blend.
making things. Cycles will.
And then
just
you know
work.
what? Maybe I have the caps
Bounce
lock on.
lighting, it's got
Maybe.
the
Oh, was that fucking me up?
correct-
Like, was that
like,
doing
look,
anything?
Look, that darkness under there, right? It's
Some of
got-
these files are really
Eevee
old.
starts to fall back. Now, it just
Even
means
though I
you
only
have
got the
50%
computer this year.
with Eevee, okay. One of the
Yeah,
big ones
save
is
as,
lamp
and
setting
someday-
shadow settings. Okay, so
Someday I will
Eevee,
come back to this donut.
underneath shadows.
I don't know when,
One thing I
but
wanna
I
do
know I'm
for-
going to
for
come back to
seeing it this
Blender.
side,
I just don't
I'm
know
gonna
when
change
precisely
cast.
the donut.
No, cube.
Because
cube size.
I
Cast
kind of want to
is
just do
for
my own
some
thing.
lighting.
And well, then
Cube
we'll
size
compare
is,
final projects.
for
Like, okay, I was
courses.
following this guy
This
to a
is sort of
T
the
until I
resolution
wasn't.
of your shadow.
And then I was just
You can
doing
see
shit
the
on my
difference
own
there
to
just
figure it
made
out.
From 512.
And we'll see which one turns out better. I won't be making a donut, but
4096. It's gonna
be
slightly
making
slower
just
to
random
render, but you
shit.
can see it's something of this
Alright, let's close out of
really
Blender.
does need that detail. Okay,
look like
so I've
that.
got that. Now,
I think we'll close out of this too. I think I'm done with that guy. I think I've had enough. So what am I at? Oh my god. It's like boiling. It's making like an evil stew in my stomach. How did I shift so far over throughout this? I just needed to lean. Like my jaw, how it's been shifting. I'm simply stalling. I don't know why I get so... I don't want to use the word anal because, you know, tempting fate. But, like, I get so weird about time period. I've talked about this before. I think ever since I was a kid when I got hyperfixated on, like, schedules by watching TV and, like, paying close attention. Like, okay, this is 8:30, this is 8:15. This is when this premieres. Commercials are 4 minutes. Where, like, if it's, like, 7:57 and it's like, oh, man, I got a shower... I would just kind of stand there until exactly 8 and then get in the shower. Like, I could have gotten in at any point, but I'm like, well, it has to be round to 8. And then I'll, like, time it, and I'm like, okay, it has to be a 30-minute shower. Get out at exactly 8:30, regardless of if I'm done or over finished or something. And I'm like, okay, then it gives me an hour for my hair to dry. Because everything's schedule-oriented with me. I start streaming. I do editing work on a schedule. I relax on a schedule. So then I was like, okay, I stream on a schedule. I start at either 7 or 9, go for 3 hours or 2, depending on, you know, current uncontrollable situations, and then have to go for that amount. So I could have gotten off like minutes before, but because I'm like, okay, it has to be around 3. It's not even, I've mentioned this before too, it's not even going to be around 3 hours because we dropped the stream multiple times. What I will do now is, now that we have the time, actually, the first thing, turn off the backlight so I can transition into the outro. You know what? I didn't even consider this. I was like, man, why is my jaw hurting again? And then these headphones are pushing in. And then I took off my headphones. I'm like, oh, it feels a lot better. A lot more loose. That's on me. What's the timer at? I need to refresh because it's way off. The clock, I legitimately use a clock website. You know that joke from BoJack, whattimeisitnow.com? That's literally what I use. Because it's easier to track seconds going by when you're looking at an analog clock. Well, I guess it would be easier on an analog clock, but I'm looking at analog's digital's numbers. Yeah, I mean, it's both. It's digital and analog. Whatever. It's stupid. I use it because, again, I'm anal about the second. Oh, I said anal. Okay, we're pushing it. Well, you know the rules. Lights out. Sorry about missing the stream yesterday and this one being a little shorter, but hopefully if whatever they do or whatever they prescribe me or whatever I figure out, or maybe my body will just fix itself, hopefully better down the line. Tomorrow is Tuesday, so it's going to be, that's the break day, and then Wednesday we'll be back to, I guess, Lego Star Wars, since that alternates every other thing, and this still counts as a stream. I've been talking for too long. Good night, boys.